Thank you. No. Right. Welcome again. Very good morning, and thank you all for coming and attending this very important event today. I will not take much time. Any discussion on law is never really interesting. It's sometimes boring, but we'll try to make things as interesting as we possibly can. My name is Atin. I work with Center for Science and Environment, and I'm a part of the team that deals with issues of solid waste management and circular economy. Now, before we get to the agenda, I will try to present a very brief context of what we are going to do till lunch, right? Um, in 1992, we had two big constitutional reforms, which was done with the objective to promote decentralized governance, right? So we all know the stories 73rd and 74th. The primary objective was to delegate more power and authority with the local administration. And through these two laws, Government of India introduced Central Finance Commission and State Finance Commission to redistribute the revenue that Government of India and the state governments were earning and redistribute them among the local government to provide them with funds, functions, and functionaries and allow them to act as units of local government. And this is exactly when municipal bylaw was born in India, right? Now, cut to, we had the first waste management rule. In fact, we are going to be joined by the person who pioneered, who spearheaded the birth of the waste management rule in India, Madam Almitra Patel. We'll have her in a while to interact and address us. So in 2016, the scope of the Municipal Solid Waste Rule 2000 had certain limitations. We realized that, and it gone through a process of deliberation and discourse. And then eventually, we had a very refined version of the law in 2016. Now, when we had the 2016 law, the law itself mandated all the urban local bodies to revise their municipal bylaws and provision all the legal mandates that the Municipal Solid Waste Rules to 2016 had provision in it, right? So we have seen implementation of Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 for close to a decade. And since 2020, we, Center for Science and Environment, we have been working in a bilateral agreement between Government of India and Government of Norway to reduce marine litter. So our bit of contribution was to build capacity of urban local bodies so that waste leakage from land-based sources, because we all know that more than 2/3 of marine litter is an offshoot of land-based mismanagement of waste. It is not really maritime or coastal activities, right? So in the last 5 years, we have been able to facilitate capacity building of more than 450 urban local bodies in India, which is roughly about 10% of the cities that we have in our country. And during this conversation, we found out that this was an agenda which was hardly getting any attention. And during our conversation with appointed representatives and elected representatives, we realized that probably we need to dive deep into this agenda. And this is exactly where we felt the need of doing a comprehensive study around this agenda of municipal bylaw. So the report that we are going to unfold today, unfortunately, we are not in a position to share soft copies because of certain issues, but we are definitely be going to share printed copies with all of you so that you can also take a look at it. This study has taken us almost 14 months. And my senior colleague, Mo, she will talk about the study, at least the highlights and the findings. And so basically, we tried to I mean, briefly, if you see the scope of the study, we tried to introspect the narrative of the bylaws in as many as 37 cities, 24 states, and Union Territory of India. And then we had a discussion with the city government officials that what are the provisions and how are you enforcing them or implementing them. And then we went to the citizens to verify or validate whether they have observed the evidence of what the municipal bylaw had mandated to be implementing, right? So that is largely the story that we are going to be telling you today. Couple of housekeeping. So we have largely 3 sessions in this symposium. The first one is definitely we'll listen to 3 amazing keynote speakers with us, and I will introduce them as I invite them to speak. We'll have a tea break to freshen up. We'll come back and have a wonderful panel discussion with 6 panelists. And then we open up the floor for question answer between you and us. And then that's it. We can break for lunch. Now, before wasting any further time, let me invite my senior colleague Mo, who made this study possible, to come and share the findings. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for setting the context. And this microphone is a little far from me. Yeah, okay, okay. Thank you so much and welcome to all of you. As Atin has already set the context about the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, I will just say a few words prior to that, India basically did not have proper proper Environmental Protection Act until Bhopal gas tragedy happened in 1984. And 1986, we had our Environmental Protection Act, the first one which talks about the environmental protection. Prior to that, there was the 42nd Amendment when it was said that state is responsible for taking care of the waste management and sanitations. There were fragmented attempts, but the holistic thing we received from this one only, EPA Act 1986. It's echoing my sound. It's okay? Yeah. And then, as he already said that with the petition Madam Almitra Patel filed, we got our first solid waste management, municipal solid waste management and handling rules 2000, and then 2016 came. So, and then the correspondence bylaws, which he has already said. So I will start with this, the scope and definition of bylaws. So bylaw is a legal instrument which is passed by the council of the municipal body or the elected representatives, and which can only be operated within the jurisdiction of the municipalities, right? And every state has their own municipal acts, and bylaws are basically derived out of those municipal acts. Even some states have more than one municipal act. So the power and the delegation of each municipal governments is basically derived from each municipal acts. And then during these municipal acts are, back in 18th, 19th century. It's a very, age old process. But before this 74th Constitutional Amendment Act came in place, there was no constitutional validity for this local government called municipality. So 73rd gave the constitutional validity for the Panchayati Raj system, and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act gave municipalities the constitutional validity. So as a local self-government, they emerged through this power and delegation given to them. And which is that I say that municipal acts were there, but ever since this Constitutional Amendment Act came in place, Municipal acts were supposed to accommodate the principles and the mandates of this Constitutional Amendment Act in order to give more power and decentralizing the whole local government system. Then local governments are entitled to make or amend bylaws for solid waste management. So bylaws can be of different types, as we all are aware. There can be trade bylaws, there can be building bylaws, there can be pet bylaws and all. But if you talk about now onwards, we'll be talking about, when we refer to bylaws, we'll talk about bylaws for solid waste management. So bylaws for solid waste managements are something which encompasses everything related to solid waste management, starting from its generation to its disposal, right? And it must be passed with a specially convened meeting with the council or elected representative or the body, whichever we called. So the specially convened meeting is a meeting which is basically called for one particular agenda. You have to have that agenda and you have to pass in your meeting, and the quorum should be 50% of the elected representatives should be present in that meeting. So this is it's a rigorous process of preparing the bylaws, but I'm not going into the detail. You'll get it in the report. But this is more or less the bylaw, the making of the bylaw. Now, Solid Waste Management Rules 2016, when it came in place, it mandated every urban local bodies, panchayats, urban agglomeration, and everyone to either amend their existing bylaws in line with Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 or prepare a fresh bylaw. And since we have studied, as I said, the 37 bylaws from the 37 cities across India, so we have found the two basic components, which is again aligned with the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016, that every bylaws are having. One is a responsibility of the waste generators, which includes source segregation, not to burn, not to bury, not to dump waste, pay your user charges, and rest of it. And the second part is the roles and responsibilities of the local government or the waste handlers. So for them, it is important to arrange door-to-door collection, processing, scientific disposal, and collect user charges. So this here I want to tell you one interesting thing, that we have been working with the global south also. So as many as 18 African countries and 4 Asian countries, we have a community there. So our team is dealing with their policies and their bylaws as well. So nowhere in the global south even like our policies, that the responsibility of the waste generator is so categorically mentioned. Everywhere it is for the municipalities only. This is something unique of our own legal framework, that the equal responsibility has been shared to the waste generators and the waste handlers in both handling. And there are some other components or elements we have found in bylaws as well, apart from these two basic responsibilities. Bylaws talk about the 3R principle: reduce, reuse, recycle. Bylaws talk about home composting. Bylaws talk about PPE kits and safety gears for the sanitary workers, reducing burden from the from going to the waste going to the landfills, and most importantly, the periodical revision of the bylaws itself, which is very important. I'll come into that in our recommendation part. So now talk about our study. As Atin has already mentioned, that it has been done in three different parts or steps. First, we analyze the components of the bylaws and we try to understand what is there, what are the basic components of each bylaws. Then we reached out to the cities, we visited, we consulted the city officials, that around these components, how they are implementing those. Because as you know, the title of the study is policy versus practice. And then thirdly, we reached out to the citizens as a recipient of these services, how they're perceiving it, how they are receiving these services, are they satisfied or not. So these are the components, 16 components, which we have analyzed around these bylaws. You can see in my screen. So some of the findings I will discuss here in the presentation, but you'll get to rest of the things in your in the hard copy of the report itself. So these are the cities. So we try to take representations from riverine cities, landlocked cities, hilly cities, and coastal cities as much as possible. But one thing I would like to share, that when we started this study around a couple of years back, so even city officials, ULBs, are not that much aware about bylaw per se. Like I can proudly say that CSE initiated this dialogue, and ever since we did a lot of trainings with the ULBs, and also we kind of continued dialogue and discourse with this topic. So it was really initially very difficult to get the documents per se. Like, मैडम है तो कहीं पे अलमारी में पड़ा होगा, कहीं पे देखना पड़ेगा, ढूंढना पड़ेगा. This was the situation initially, but I'm glad that we have a house full of people who are interested in bylaws. So that's an achievement for us. So this is the thing what Atin said. The 37 cities from 24 states and UTs we have captured. Now I'll come into the some of the key findings. Source segregation, we all are aware that it's the most non-negotiable issue of solid waste management. So we have found 100% of the bylaws we studied, the provision of source segregation is there. But only 32% citizens of those cities, 32% cities say that citizens felt that the source segregation is happening. Maybe the situation is even less than that, we all are aware about it, but it's a limitation of the sampling process. But this is also a striking finding that only 32% is happening. Now if we come to the door-to-door collection, 100% cities have this provision. 84% cities among those 100% cities have citizens said that they have experienced this is happening. But here the remarkable thing is that this door-to-door collection is not happening regularly. It's not covering all the catchment areas. It's not capable of collecting segregated waste. Even people are segregating. So that's the issue we have observed. Then prohibition for waste burning. Again, only citizens from 27% cities think that they have seen or observed it's been in practice, the prohibition of waste burning. That means it's an alarming situation for us. Then prohibition of open dumping, also more or less similar situation, that citizens of 26% cities think that open dumping is being prohibited. It's less, it's very less. Although, 100% bylaws have this provision that they will prohibit open dumping and they will prohibit waste burning. Then waste processing, strikingly, it's 81% of those citizens think that waste processing is being done. But the important thing is that there is a very limited understanding between the differences of waste processing in a scientific manner and dumping of waste. So collecting my waste from my household and doing something municipalities is waste processing for the citizens per se. So that is why the difference in this data. Then the bulk waste generators, as we all are aware, that entities, commercial and residential entities who are generating more than 100 kgs per day. It's only, 100% bylaws have this provision, but only 43% are in practice according to the citizens. Decentralized waste management, which is the main principle of solid waste management rules or having these bylaws, are decentralizing things, which is again is a very less in practice. It's 26% only has been observed. Integration of informal sector is also a neglected or ignored agenda in solid waste management. So here we can see that the visibility is 57%. But again, if we talk about integration as a process as such, like starting from enumerating, registering, giving ID cards, and incorporating them into the waste management process, it's not holistically done. It's fragmented. Maybe some cities have given ID cards, some cities have some sort of engagement, maybe 20, 30, 50 waste speakers into the system. So it's not entirely the integration system is functioning in the cities. Then disposing waste into a sanitary landfill. Again here, citizens of 76% cities have seen that disposing is happening. But again, sanitary landfill, which is an engineered landfill for scientific disposal is not dump site what we see. But for the citizens, so here we can see the provisions of municipal bylaws is not being conveyed or communicated in a proper manner with the citizens. So for them, dumping and landfilling, sanitary landfill is equivalent. So that is why this number is high. So cities are collecting and dumping. In some cases there are sanitary landfills, but it's very few. User charge, another important, most important agenda. We can see what is happening in Mumbai, in Bangalore, in Delhi, that it's pretty difficult to regularize user charge collection. We were having an in discussion with JB Ravinder sir a few months back in our webinar. He was saying that there are three mandatory parameters for SBM 2.0. Among those three, one is rationalization of the tax collection system. Second is the fund disbursement through PFMS, public financial management system. And third is user charge, regularizing the user charge collection. So it is although there in SBM 2.0 mandate, but it's not being monitored in such a manner. And we have often seen in cities that there is resistance, even from the elected representatives part and also from the citizens. But we have to mention one thing, that collecting user charge is also a kind of it's conditioned how you're providing your waste management services. So that is also another important agenda. That is why user charge collection is only 42% cities have observed it's being in practice. Again, similarly, as we said, that our study suggests that everything in law book is quite well placed, but the enforcement is the weakest part. So penalization is same. There is no deterrence of open burning. There is no deterrence for open dumping, open landfilling, and not segregation, not segregating waste. So penalization is again a very less in number. And incentivization maybe is in the poorest condition as of now in practice in terms of percentage if we go, because only 14% cities have this provision in their bylaws. So people are yet to realize that penalization and incentivization go hand in hand. So we should also incentivize good or waste management behavior like segregation, home composting, bulk waste generators, compliances. So this is yet to be realized by the urban local bodies. Grievance redressal management is also another issue, that 73% cities of the cities we have studied claim that we have some sort of grievance redressal management mechanism. But again, citizens are not happy with that, because grievance are basically on not collecting on time, open dumping, open burning, but it's not being mitigated. Even complaints are there. There are lack of manpower to monitor and kind of take steps and measures for that. Now the way forward. So these were the findings. Now way forward we have, just 2 slides remaining. So I'm sorry, it's coming. First of all, framing the bylaws by the local government. So 20% of the cities we have studied, either the bylaws is given by the state, later the municipalities have adopted or notified that. But the idea of all this amendment and all the bylaws is to decentralize the power. So it should be localized depending on the local requirement, the income level, the other social and demographic agenda situation of the particular city. So it should be practiced in local level. The bylaws should be made and amended, and the concurrent policies whichever is emerging around solid waste management should be incorporated in the bylaws. The capacity building, the elected representative play a crucial role in adopting, formulating, notifying the bylaws, and we have seen the capacity gap among them. It's very important to prioritize their capacity building, the elected representatives. And there should be right communication strategy to popularize the provisions of the bylaws, and citizens should be aware of it, that what is there in the bylaws and what are supposed to they are supposed to do. And then including notification and enforcement of municipal bylaws within the ambit of Swachh Sarvekshan. So sir said earlier also that it is there, but it's not a mandate, or it's not an entry level mandate to be eligible to take part in Swachh Sarvekshan. And there should be also a kind of mechanism for the citizens to give their opinion how the bylaw provisions have been implemented in such direction. This is my last slide. So there should be clear provision for integration of informal sector. It is a pretty challenging thing because in solid waste management rules 2016 itself, there is no guideline. It's just said that states should make strategies and help the ULBs. I hope with the new rules 24, it will be improved. New guideline will come and cities will adopt it. So that's our recommendation. User fees revising and regularizing the collection is a need of an hour, which we felt. And then clear provision for incentives and penalties should be maintained, and it should be implemented and enforced. Otherwise, people will take it for granted. And as I said, that we have seen there are bylaws who are even made before 2016. It's not being revised, not being changed along with the new policies and guidelines. So ideally, bylaws should be, I have seen in the bylaws itself that bylaws should be revised per every year with the new changes and new amendments, and creating a compendium of good practices around the good practices of bylaws, which is also one of our recommendations. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you so much, Mo. It's time to invite the first keynote speaker for the day. Let me just see if I can put the slide. Sukanya, could you please confirm whether you can see it on the... Not yet? I don't know what they're doing. Okay. Yeah. Is it now going on? How about now? Okay. So let me invite Madam Almitra Patel. She doesn't need any introduction whatsoever, but just going by the norms and norms of the event. So Srimati Almitra Patel is an 89-year young, and this is written by her, and I was truly fascinated. 89-year young biologist and chemist who was the first woman engineer at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in USA in 1956. After retirement from a family refractories business, she became a self-taught garbologist, and with Captain Velu led a 1994 Clean India campaign by road to 30 cities in 30 days. Her public interest litigation led to the Municipal Solid Waste Management Rules 2000, amended into 2016, to minimize waste to landfill by recycling dry waste and stabilizing waste to enrich India's soils. She has visited 214 Indian cities in every state to share best practices and works to minimize polluting wastes. Promote eco-friendly packaging, clean up old dump sites, and get phosphorus out of wastewater to save India's surface water. With this, let me invite and welcome Almitra ma'am. I can't stop it. Can you guys stop it? Yeah, okay. So Almitra ma'am, I hope you can hear us and see us as well. See the other fellow keynote speakers and the participants on the other side.
Yes.
And it's an absolute honor and privilege to have you among all of us. You may please now address the participants here. Thank you so much.
First of all, I would like to congratulate CSE on this very useful third-party assessment, which I think will be hugely helpful to the central and state governments and municipal commissioners and so on. I would love to see it repeated every 5 years or 3 years. What is gratifying for me when one says 60% are not doing, it does mean that 40% are doing, which is a big increase from 0 when I started this journey. I would like to talk today not about your findings. Something which thrilled me was that Orissa is 100% decentralized, if that is true. I would like to talk about things which are not in the 2016 rules or bylaws, but can be easily put into the bylaws by every city that wants to send zero waste to landfill or reduce their waste going, not landfill, but dump. The main all India is payment for secondary transport by weight. So even when citizens segregate, the contractor who is paid by weight threatens his doorstep collectors. You must mix it. I don't want a gram reduced in my weighbridge at the dump site. So it's extremely important, if it's not in the 16 rules or 24 amendment, at least in the bylaws, no payment by weight, because that simply rewards maximizing waste to the dump. Instead, one can go by an area or household model. Supposing there are 1,000 households and they are generating a ton of waste, for which a small town may be paying 6,000 a ton. Instead of paying 6,000 per ton, they can pay 6,000 per 1,000 households, which are generating that. Then there is no incentive for the waste contractor to add debris, mulba, rubs in the already mixed waste which he insists on collecting. It will save him a lot of fuel and increase his profits. If he can just go to the nearest decentralized compost or biometh place, or the nearest dry waste collection and sorting center. And that will keep mixed waste out of the dumps. And this tendering the contract by area or number of households instead of by tonnage, it can not only be applied to all new contracts, even the existing contracts can be tweaked. Instead of the 6,000 per ton, if it's 6,000 per 1,000 households, if a bungalow is demolished and 6 or 8 apartments come up in its place, there's often years of gap before the property tax collection is altered. So if a contractor is suddenly having to collect not one family's waste from a bungalow, but 6 times that from an apartment which came in the same place, he will inform the municipality, pay me for 5 more. And that will bring the property tax awareness to the notice of the municipality and force them to include every family separately, and increases the municipal property tax revenue also. This change can be willingly done even with existing contracts. Just divide the existing tonnage payment by the number of households from which it is collected and assure the contractor he'll get the same money or even more. And one can build in not just for the contract payment of 5% annual increase or whatever, but also I think the penalties and incentives all need to be indexed to the cost of living index, so that we don't end up with absurd 1978 rates being followed in 2025, as it is in some rules. So I strongly urge, last week I visited Sangamner, where by MLA demand, Maharashtra's star officer Ramdas Kokare, who had made zero waste to landfill in Bengaluru, Karjat, Matharan, Kalyan Dombivli, and Latur villages, is now in Sangamner. And he has begun biomining. I was delighted to see that unlike other places where there is soil cover and debris addition, there was not a single piece of brick or stone coming out in his screening process. It was just unmixing the wet and dry, which should never have been mixed in the first place. It's hugely expensive to unmix and do biomining, and almost impossible in a sandwich layer land dump where soil has been covered every day or every week. And there is no need to cover with soil or anything else if the wet waste, which is the cause of smell and leachate, does not reach there at all. So the second very important thing that the bylaws can and should say, absolute refusal to pick up mixed waste. No contractor should be allowed to accept mixed waste from any hand. There will unfortunately be a little mixed waste in the black spots around every city where there is illegal trashing. But by and large, if there is minimal wet waste in a landfill, there will be no smell that needs covering by soil. Another thing which was approved in 97, the earliest orders of the Supreme Court, but never made its way into the 2000 or 2016 rules, is how to unload waste at a dump site. Instead of dumping, using a JCB to level and compact and flatten the waste and make it airless and smelly. If a tipper can move slowly forward as it's unloading, the waste will automatically fall in a long heap, a long row, a windrow. And even one turning after a week, lifting it and putting it in elsewhere, will reduce the volume and the moisture content by 20%. So it saves you land dump site volume also. The other thing that is needed is to do sincere biomining, not just with a single mesh screen and taking out fines and leaving the rest on the site, but actually following the CPCB guidelines for legacy waste. I would like to see that in the next act as a mandatory thing, not a guideline. And any city revising its bylaws can put the this clause about how final disposal is to be unloaded into their bylaws, so that it's unloaded in windrows, turned even once, if not oftener, which will minimize leachate enormously and methane also. Then one thing which will help black spots and also decrease the manpower need for road sweeping and so on is to adopt for cities what many villages are doing since decades on their own. which is that a household does not just take responsibility for the waste inside its house and dumping it in front of the neighbor's wall, but having a Mera Angan Saaf requirement that every household should manage the cleanliness of the road touching their frontage, 30, 40, 60, 80 feet, whatever it is, up to the middle of the road. And that will really keep waste out of drains and prevent city flooding, which is often the outcome of that, as in Surat. How many more minutes do we have?
Ma'am, you have exhausted the time, but if you want to sum up, you can sum up in a couple of minutes.
No, I just wanted to know if there was time for questions. We'll do it later.
Yes, ma'am. We have separate session for question answers. I mean, I hope you will be able to stay with us. You can turn off your camera if you have to, but you can stay with us for till the end of the event.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really insightful, even for me personally, and I hope your interventions will be recorded and will be paid attention to, because that is the need of the hour. Let me now invite the second keynote speaker for the day, Dr. N.B. Majumdar. And he is also someone that doesn't need an introduction. But again, I'll just follow the rules and quickly introduce her. Let me see if I can. Okay. Somebody else is doing it? Okay, awesome. Thanks. So let me quickly introduce Dr. Majumdar. He's an international waste management expert with over 40 years of experience in Asia, South America, and West Asia. He began his career at Sulabh International Institute, pioneering public toilet-linked biogas plants and introducing DWAS, that is decentralized wastewater treatment system, to India. After retiring from HUDCO, he served as Chief Technical Advisor at ILNFS Environmental Infrastructure, overseeing the design, build, and operation of India's largest composting, RDF, and landfill facilities. Since 2019, he has served as Honorary Chairman of International Academy of Environmental Sanitation and Public Health and was Honorary Director General of Sulabh International. Dr. Majumdar co-authored the 2016 Municipal Solid Waste Management Manual and co-drafted the Solid Waste Management Rules and Construction and Demolition Waste Management Rules, anchoring Indian modern waste policy framework. He co-authored UNEP IGES ISWA guidelines on composting in West Asia and devised compost quality standards for South Asia under Asian Development Bank projects. Thank you so much, sir. The floor is now yours. Let me help you with your presentation. Okay, can you just close the... you can upload the presentation from there, or let me upload it from here. That will be better. No, right. No. Which one? Okay. Got it. I struggle with Windows system. Is it visible, guys?
Yeah. And the changing one is?
Yes, sir.
This one. Okay. Yeah. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here. In fact, I was expecting to meet with Mrs. Almitra Patel as well. And I was thinking that Atin and Mo have organized a vintage rally, because I'm also 78 plus. Anyway, I retired almost 20 years back. Now, I'll take a slightly different view of, the rules and the bylaws. And I'll speak about, or whatever I speak, it will be from my experience. I've had, the opportunity of working in state government setting, in central government setting, with different NGOs, with different corporates, and international, multilateral, and bilateral. So I have got a kind of a 360-degree, but I will here speak only from my experience, which I have really felt. And for the last 40 years, my experience in waste management, particularly solid waste management, it was, it was very pleasurable and at the same time, often very, very frustrating as well. So I'll talk about those things, those issues which are there and which I feel should be there in the bylaws. What I feel is, I have been into the rule committees, as Atin just mentioned. See, the rule committees are committees with some 15 to 20 persons. So one person is only a small cog in that whole machine. There are points where you don't really agree, but solutions are difficult to find out. For example, I'll just give you one small thing. A sanitary pad, for example, the rules when we were there in the 2016 rule. I wasn't happy with the solution that we wrote there. But if you ask me what is the solution, even to this day, the solution is difficult unless the concerned local body has that mechanism and that apparatus to handle it. Because different kinds of waste as such, it's easy to say source segregation. But does the ULB or the panchayat has the wherewithal to take it separately and to take it to the logical destination? That is very difficult. So from those angles, I will just tell, and I'll definitely try to keep the timeline. Okay, we have definitely made long strides, but still, for further improvement, what do? We have to take the bull by the horn. Otherwise, we just cannot just hide our faces behind rules and bylaws and say that, well, it was there. It's not happening. The contractor is not doing. But has the contractor been notified or instructed in detail? No. That is what, because I have been in the corporate world also. From the drawing board to getting plans constructed, to product quality, to marketing and codes, standards, I have been everywhere. I feel there are lots and lots of gaps and loopholes. And that is why our system is not successful. One problem is that we are now the most populous country in the world. It's not easy to handle it. Take any advanced country or industrialized country, give them 140 plus crore people and see what they do with that. You will see. We appreciate visiting Europe or US and so on. Give them 140 crore and see the music that happens. So one big issue, of course, what we have taken up is the change in lifestyle, the change in aspiration, because of which, because of consumerism, the waste quality and the waste quantity has changed, which is again a big challenge. It's a big technical challenge, but to take the technical challenge, you also need financial affordability as well. So it has to be a mix of techno-financial sustainability. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Okay, so the last line. I'd like to take a close look at these issues through the telescope and microscope of my 40 years encounter and experience with waste management. Now, these are 5 points that I have mentioned here, which I believe is very, very important. One is comprehensive planning. If comprehensive planning is not there, right in the beginning, it's lost, right? Second is capacity building. Capacity building for whom? I think it should start with those who prepare the tenders, because for all government interventions, tenders are the most crucial document. So those who prepare the tender documents, they need to have capacity building, first of all. Normally, what we say is The public needs capacity building, awareness generation, and so on. Inclusion of waste management in land use plan. This is extremely important. Look around our whole country and you can't even, I mean, you can count on your fingertips, and it would be even then difficult as to how many cities have waste management sites in their land use plan. I've seen only one, Mohali, but there also they had given a land parcel in which 13 items were listed. So like water treatment, wastewater treatment, and all that. It should be very clear. Otherwise, most of the places is going to fail. Now, the fourth is techno-commercial viability, which is crucial for long-term sustainability. And then consideration of life cycle assessment and life cycle cost in all planning and tender documents. I have been harping on this for the last 15, 20 years, but unfortunately, so far, I don't see anything on the ground. Now, unless we do life cycle assessment and life cycle cost, our projects are not going to be sustainable. We have a concession agreement for 20 years, 30 years, and so on. For waste management, it can be 15 to 20 to 25 years. For water, maybe it can be 30 years. But if the life cycle cost is not there in the tender planning or when the tender is being prepared and the tender is being evaluated, you don't get it. People think that the commissioning date is the main or the crucial date. So after commissioning, most of the people forget about it. But the actual act starts from the commissioning. It doesn't end there. In the BOT document also, it's written that after the concession agreement, you have to return the same thing, almost in the working style, in a working state. Is it possible? Let us say I'm setting up a compost plant, a simple thing, not very difficult as such. A compost plant may have a concession period of 20 years, common. Now, in the first 7, 8, or 9th year, you would require major replacement and repair. Where does that money come from? Has the contractor or the bidder included that in his tender when he had calculated? He has not. Next, first is about 8th, 9th year, the next could be 12th, 13th year, and the next could be 15th, 16th. So it becomes closure as the plant becomes older. And then you have another challenge. The challenge is technology is developing. It's not standstill during your concession period. And the market relates to the technology. So during the concession period of 15 years, there might be 1 or 2 steps in the technology development wherein your competitors who have come later would just outsmart you. So what do you do about it? That's another challenge. So therefore, those people who prepare the bid, they must be very informed about these things. They should have the whole subject in their grip. Well, one challenge is, can we reduce? We talk about reducing, but the reduction in today's market economy, it's related to our development also. So we just cannot say reduce everything. What we can do is we should reduce the wastage. Consumption would increase. Otherwise, you would say we have not reached that. I mean, we are going to reach the 4th economy in the world. We cannot say that we stop this, stop that, stop that. What we can do is to reduce our wastage and to recycle to the maximum possible. and the final ultimate waste should be minimal. So that is possible practically. Otherwise, we just won't be able to do anything. The challenges are much more because of the complexity. There is e-waste, there is plastic waste, there is MLP, multi-layer plastic, biomedical waste, and these are all generated within a city, generated even within a village. Even in village now, you would find MLPs, multi-layer plastics. What do you do with that? How do you get it collected? How do you get it to a registered proper recycler? It would require a lot of transport, which would have a lot of carbon footprint. So actually, the reality is much, much more difficult than perhaps we think. And then we have to also, I mean, from the government sector or from the public sector, we must think, if we are talking about PPP, we must think about those who are actually supposed to do the work. That is the private partner. Okay, so spread of capital for financial viability becomes constrained in the face of these challenges, which we just discussed. The ULBs and the waste management industry both have to face this. And unless we realize that the PPP is in real terms, the public sector and the private sector have to be partners. Without that spirit of partnership, it just cannot go on. Now, comprehensive planning, as I just mentioned, without comprehensive planning, nothing will happen. Interactive planning, because waste management is something wherein everybody is an actor. You, me, everybody, the municipal fellow, people sitting in the government, everybody is a partner. So interactive planning has to be there. Initially, it is very, very difficult. I remember Madam Almitra Patel had invited me to one of her social interactive thing in Bangalore long back. Maybe it was some 20, 25 years back. So I had seen those things, those difficulties also, to relate things, to relate a practical waste management, processing and facility with the public, who are the generators. It's not easy, because normally people think like our toilet facilities, that I just push a button and forget it. So similarly, we say and think that, well, we have paid our taxes, so the rest is the municipality's job. We don't bother about it. But it's not so. We are partners, and that sense has to be instilled, that has to be inculcated. So capacity building of all the personnel involved with planning, execution, monitoring, and documentation. Without that, it's not happening. Now, model tenders and guidelines have been issued. My friend is here, JV. JV is here. They have issued so many documents. They have to be inculcated in the ethos of the public. Strengthening the ULB by rationalizing taxes and duties. Madam Patel also mentioned this. Polluters pay is perhaps the best way to achieve. And for commercial full-scale application, use only those technologies which have been proven and continuously functional for at least 5 years. We often face this. I have been in CPCB's, what they call the Technology Approval Committee for 2 years, long back. I think it was around 2002-3 or so. It's not easy. Many people come from, or used to come from outside with a briefcase of new technology, but they won't open the briefcase completely. They will say this requires NDA, non-disclosure agreement, and so on. So those experiments have not always been successful. So we should give space to new technologies, but for full scale, we should adopt only those technologies which have been in use for at least 5 years. This I can skip. This you all know. But we should know exactly which technologies are applicable for the particular city or the village. Here I have tried to show the reality of a BOT project, right? For example, composting. Now, whatever we may say or think, 30 to 50% non-compostable material is obtained during pre-processing. I have actually for 11 years, I have not only designed and constructed, but operated compost plants. And I know mixed waste comes. And the final product, which should be FCO 2009 compliant, is hardly 8 to 10%. That too, if you are lucky enough to not to have any industrial contaminants, meaning heavy metal, then everything is gone. But otherwise, from 100% to 8 to 10%, where is the viability? Where is the cost? Where is the revenue accrual? So therefore, this must be in the thought process of everybody, from the central government to the farmer to the waste generator. That waste management on its own, standalone, is not a black gold or green gold or anything. It's very difficult, very tough. Now, some things can be done to improve it. For example, if along with composting, RDF is also prepared, then possibly some more revenue accrual would be there. But then RDF, in the year 2018, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs had brought out a guideline on RDF also, where we tried to have different categories of RDFs. The user industry have to accept it. Otherwise, the production is useless. Whatever is the production, compost, CND processed CND material, whatever it is, or RDF, it has to be accepted by the user industry or the community. Otherwise, you have a huge inventory and nothing. I mean, it would be another dump site of your inventory. So therefore, these things have to be looked into. RDF, for example, is not, again, easy to make. There is a misnomer that people think that after taking out the biodegradable waste, what remains, whatever combustible, that is RDF. It's not. RDF should have a particular quality, a particular specification. So I don't have time to go into that. If you want, you can go to the ministry site. Those reports are given there. The cement industry has accepted it, and now it is, taking up. In the year 2018-19, we were really at a great problem to get it accepted by the industries. Actually, we had tried with not only cement industries, but also with steel, power generation industries, but only cement industry had come up. But now others are also coming up, and the cement industry is also really becoming more helpful, or maybe they are finding that the AFR, that is auxiliary fuel resources, they are beneficial compared to getting coal all the time. So therefore, it is gradually picking up, just like the fly ash. Earlier, the fly ash commission took some 15 years to really bring it up. Legacy waste. Now, Madam Patel had discussed about it. I won't go much on detail. There can be, three different ways of doing it. Either cover it properly, which we did while in my one of my avatar incorporates, we did it for Gorai landfill site in Mumbai. What we did was just reverse the sanitary landfill bottom lining. So that there is no percolation and leachate generation stops over a period of time. The second is biomining. But then biomining, one has to be very careful that the biomined material, if you want to use it for agricultural purpose, it should be thoroughly analyzed. and then only it should be used for agricultural purpose. And I would definitely like to mention one thing here. In CRRI, here in Delhi, Central Road Research Institute, about 7-8 years back, they had developed a technology, and fortunately, I was somehow associated with it, in which more than 5 years old dumped material can be processed into a material which can be used as road embankment, so that the dump sites like Gazipur also can be decimated in a road stretch of 20 kilometers. So these need to be looked into as well. Construction demolition waste of, well, I can say here that we were the first to have a commercial construction demolition processing facility in India. That was in Burari. We started with 500 TPD, and then we took it up to 2000 TPD, and we were successful. And because sand mining and rock cutting was banned by the courts, our manufactured sand was successful in the market. So that was the coincidence. But we found that C&D waste could generate some revenue, unlike the normal composting, etc., which is much more difficult. Plastic waste, of course, a lot of discussions keep happening, but I'd like to say, one thing here. Plastic waste as such, we cannot just shoo away plastic. It has gone so deep into our lives. We just cannot say no to plastic. The best way is to recycle it to the maximum possible. The lowest hanging fruit is use it in a blacktop road. The next, of course, is fuel, for which, of course, you need a scale, without which it cannot happen. Inclusion of waste management in land use planning. We have already talked about it. This we can maybe skip because I don't have time now. Yes, way forward. So what I've tried to say is the municipal bylaws need to be much more comprehensive and realistic. They need to have more grain so that the user industries, the public, everybody knows in detail as to what exactly has to be done. Of course, in the bylaws, you cannot have all the details. So the bylaws should be tagged to mandatory guidelines, right? For each bylaws, there can be a mandatory guideline explaining each and everything. Unless these things are explained in detail, it's not going to really happen. Now, the bylaws are an important tool in the hands of ULBs to guide the course of waste management in the proper direction. They are necessary. They are the tools. So they must address the 5 important points, which I had mentioned in my slide number 3. Then only sustainability can be achieved. And all the stakeholders must be involved during the planning exercise as well as the execution period for long-term success and sustainability. Thank you very much for a patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really insightful. Tibuban, could you please load that? Let me now invite and also introduce one of my guru, J.V. Ravinder sir. And he's someone who is known to be an institution than an individual. And he's someone who can tell you the story of this entire journey of Indian sanitation movement, right from the 1980s when we had the first flagship program called the Central Rural Sanitation Program. So let me just quickly read out the text. You all can see it. J.V. Ravinder sir is a BTech in Civil Engineering and a Masters of Engineering in Public Health Engineering from University of Calcutta. Is a retired joint advisor. So retirement is, mark my word, it's just for the record. But he's still pretty much with the ministry and doing what he has been doing for all these years. He has been working as an assistant engineer, assistant executive engineer, and project manager at the Hyderabad Water Supply and Sewage Board for 18 long years. Sri Ravinder provides technical assistance and advice to the Ministry of Urban Water Supply and Sanitation Matters, representing the ministry in technical issues and discussions with external agencies. He's also a member of the expert committee drafting manuals on sewerage and sewage treatment systems and municipal solid waste management. He has spearheaded many important technical documents like standards, guidelines, manual, etc. during his tenure with Central Public Health and Environmental Engineering Organization, which is a technical arm of the ministry. Even after his superannuation, he continues to serve the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs on issues like sanitation and waste management. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. The floor is now yours.
So good morning to all. And I think Ji kindly stop me 3 minutes before so that I can wind up. Now I prepared something. This is the document. But I think there is no time and a lot of inputs, a lot of changes. As a bit of longish introduction, I'm basically a water and sanitation engineer at the project level, but since 2005, I've been working with the solid waste management also. When I did my MTech, Professor Arunabha Majumdar of Institute of Hygiene was my guide. And one of the fundamental rules in solid waste management is not to rehandle it. So that, the meaning is segregation is the most important. And the way in which we, collect, dump it here and again pick up and then dump it around, all that is. Now limiting myself to the bylaws issues. In 2016, ministry prepared a small document. It must be still available. And as a part of the Swachh Bharat mission. You must have seen the 2016 rules in various points. It is mentioned in the Rule 15. It is there in the E part, F part, and ZF part. The ULB is supposed to frame the bylaws. In the solid waste management sector, Goel sir is here now, sir. Namaskar. Actually, I take the position that bylaws are not necessary because there is a central rule, which is an overriding thing. But anyway, municipalities need to do that, so that it has been recommended. One interesting thing was in 2017, a case came up where a boy died in Delhi of dengue. And High Court at that time, I forget the name, Chief Justice was on leave, somebody was acting as the Chief Justice. He gave a direction that Delhi has to frame the bylaws. At that time, there were 5 ULBs, including the Cantonment Board in Delhi. There is no bylaw in Delhi for solid waste management, even though the rules were very much there. Madam Sunita Narayan, Madam Ishar Aluwalia, Madam. And being in the ministry, we always have that, advantage that we line up. And Delhi Legal Aid Cell, etc., was the secretariat. Over a period of time, we prepared. And one fine day, we appeared in the High Court also. I also went and presented to the Honorable Justice. We thought it will be immediately implemented. So, no. The ULB started saying that it has to be properly notified with all approvals. To cut the long story short, another 9 months passed. See, this is a direction from the High Court and nicely framed rules, and a lot of NGOs and civil activists were involved in that. Government was involved, experts were involved. And Delhi Legal Society was the secretariat. Still, we could not. 2018, January, 4 Lieutenant Governor, 1 Deputy Secretary, I think I forgot the name. The notified rules are still there. 5. SDMC, North, East, DCB, and as well as New Delhi Municipal Council that have been notified. And we are all citizens of Delhi. Now I shifted to Noida. Is it being implemented? Is it being implemented? Answer is no. Because nobody came to you from the MCD asking for the user fee, at least so far. So there is a big gap between what is there in the bylaw and thanks to Mao, you have, given the synopsis of that. You can find out from that whatever is the ULB responsibility, wherever ULB can be held responsible, the compliance is being reported near to, top quintile, 80 to 100%, right? Because we all want to escape, scrutiny. When it is citizen-centric or the bulk-based generator-centric, where they will be made responsible, what is happening? You are in the lower two, right? 40% odd. So this is the situation. Friends, please don't take it that I am coming here as a teacher, and so please forgive me. I'm more than 61. Most of you are younger to me. Please forgive me. So nobody actually, as a citizens, we do not come across the law, right? Probably we come across a law, a certain rule is there, probably when we are trying to get a driving license. So who is the most important person for traffic safety or road safety? The answer is the driver, right? It is not the car, whether it has 6 airbags or whatever it is. And the second part is whether the road conditions are actually safe. So that I take it. Solid waste management is a totally shared responsibility. In most of the places, everyone says that it is the ULB responsibility. ULB is responsible for maintaining the cleanliness and the processing. No, sir. Please, this is the citizen's responsibility. So I would take that this is not just an infrastructure issue, not a finance issue, not a technology issue, and we are not still calling it as a social problem. My guru, so we are, Mazumdar Sahab, we went to Dhaka and we discussed. At that time, I was almost 20 years younger, right? Waste management infrastructure is not built into the master plan. That's what we discussed, right? With Sir AK and Khurana sir and yourself in Dhaka, right? This is all the legal instrument pathways are all blurry even today. In 2016 rule, beautiful rule is given, the district magistrate has to find out the lands and provide to the ULBs within the next 2-3 years, right? Maybe the timelines I am forgetting. So far, whether it has been done, the answer is no. So both, as the analogy I said, we are citizens are the most important cogs in this management. And if you just allow for the good conscientious citizen to implement all the SWM again, there is a problem. Because at least in Noida, when there is in Delhi, situation has improved. When there is no policeman, red lines are not at all effective. Please come with me any evening to sector 62 to sector 120. I will show you. So the bylaws are kind of a policeman. Even if they are robotic, it's okay, but someone has to be there. So bylaws have to be implemented and strengthened. So for the common good, we just cannot allow this situation to go on. And most of you are social activities and leaders in your own thing. This is a social problem. Solid waste, We cannot, invent a technology. It is there. The vacuum-based technology is there in certain cities, but it's too expensive. We are struggling with our sewerage itself, which finds its own level by gravity or sometimes a bit of pumping. Whereas solid waste management, we have to handle it every day. Mixed waste is a disaster, and still some of our leaders are talking about end of the pipe segregation. You collect in a mixed way, and near the plant or near the dump site, we put sophisticated machines. And I think that is a sure way to disaster, sir. Failure. And the compost, the quality never met. Recyclable qualities never met, so and so forth. So the bylaws personification, again, the law, whenever a citizen is there, the personification of the law is the policeman. For solid waste management, he is a waste picker, but how much we have empowered him, that is the question. Almitra madam has also said, and I'm thoroughly in agreement with that. I also struggle with segregation, right? I also, honestly, I'm admitting that we did segregation, but we struggle with that. The idea, why we are failing as a household. My wife is not around here, so she's a double graduate, but she still insists on cooking for both of us. She's a working lady. She says, sometimes I don't have the time. But I am telling you, had one sanitary inspector visited our household all these years after 2016, once only, and simply spoke to her very politely, not even threatened her, she would never have forgotten that. So the better half, whatever they say, chalte rahega. This is a social problem, right? So my personification is not empowered. Again, it is a social issue, right? I don't want to go in detail. They are the lowest of the strata. Are tu kaun hai? Tu le ja. Please don't quote me to my joint secretary, madam. इंदौर में भी एक बार क्या हो गया? कोई बोल सकता है? इंदौर was 7 years champion. But 2-3 years back क्या हुआ? बोलिए. Don't quote me, huh? Because now I am doing extra work. किसी ने गोली चला दी. If you remember, waste picker के ऊपर गोली चलाया. किसी और के ऊपर वो चला था गोली. वो बोला था segregated waste दो. Yeah, this is just after 4 years of being number 1 city. मैं उनको प्रणाम करता हूं. आज सिटीजन बहुत अच्छा करते हैं, but such elements are there. Such elements are there. We need to empower, just as today, traffic policemen highly. So as I already spoke to you about the ULB side of the story is being painted very rosily, at least reported very rosily. You mentioned something 32%, right? Segregation.
Yes.
In our such survection, everybody says we are doing segregation, even though they may have distributed 2 bins there and the segregation is happening. The bins are actually found in the kitchen containing some rice and dal. So after distributing, I am a ULB official. Every day I have to report that segregation ho raha hai. Otherwise I'll be in problem. So this segregation thing, we are finding in Swachh Sarvekshan as 36%. We are closer, right? We are closer. And user fee, Delhi ka hi le lijiye, kahin dur se lene ka jarur. Sir, Goel sir is there. We are thinking, sir, how many households generate waste? Everybody escapes because For electricity, everybody has got individual connection because it is most stringent and more costly. Then it comes to water. Many taps are shared. When it is sewerage, it is much more shared. There is only one connection. Solid waste management, we don't know, especially in commercial things. So I am suggesting, sir, maybe after 5 years down the line, it will happen. You cities should capture the data of electricity connection, and then that is your user for solid waste management. And better still, in the electricity bill itself, 1% or 2%, etc., is added as a solid waste management fee. We are on power PPP, power purchasing power parity. We are the best country. But 100 rupees or even 50 rupees, which doesn't buy your tea supply for the day, for most of us, people don't want to pay up. And our public representatives are fully supporting them. This is the kind of reform we need to bring in solid waste management sector. I am fully in agreement with Mazumdar Saab, and we also agree that the slogan is very fine: waste to well. But once you apply the entire boundary conditions from door to the plant, etc., it is a cost center. It is a cost center, not a revenue center. So I am closing. Sir said 140 crores you give to Western Europe, etc., and see what tamasha happens. Maybe at least one community is there, that is Japanese community. Beg your pardon, sir. They would have still succeeded. They would have still succeeded. Some of the events are there. So they went somewhere, right? That World Cup football matches. They cleaned up the stadium after the event, and they brought the waste in their bags, carried it. So there is a societal change we would like to aim at. So that, I see every day in the Meerut Express Highway also, high speed. Suddenly window is opened and multi-layer sachet is thrown away, blown out. If it is, going on, stucking on the face of a two-wheeler, you imagine the thing. And I have even seen in Mayur Vihar, late night, well-educated boys in their high-end cars throwing out bottles, glass bottles. Sirs and madam, this is a social problem. So solid waste management practices, bylaws and everything should be made part of the school curriculum. We probably need to encourage, we have traffic safety weeks, solid waste management bylaw weeks, safety weeks, practitioner weeks. So badges of honor, we talked about incentives and disincentives, right? Badges of honor, if a citizen is highly conscientious and doing everything, there is no way, the message spreads. They may not even want a badge of honor themselves. But that kind of thing brings a change in the society and incorporation in property tax. Again, I'm requesting Honorable Justice, sir, that many cities have, changed the scope of property tax. For example, Rajasthan sometime back when they said that 500 yards and above only will be attracting property tax. I don't know, they must have changed. Whereas in Delhi, some of the resettlement colonies, 25 square yards is worth more than 50 lakhs today. The land itself. So it's a skewed thing. That's why electricity type of, piggybacking on that, we need to bring in so that the whole sector becomes sustainable. Sir and ladies and gentlemen, we know that another aspect is municipal bylaws are heard of any household only when they are trying to construct a building. Even that memory is not happening because nowadays everything is flat oriented in the large cities. And that they have to scrupulously follow as per the architect, because you have to get the OC, occupation certificate. After that, you see any DDA colony, any private colony today, finish. 1 minute, sir. So they keep on making so many changes and alterations which are of inconvenience to the neighbors and others. This is happening. In a very highly regulated field, this is happening. When solid waste management remains unregulated, we are creating so much economic losses, first thing. Environmental losses, nobody has seen. Even Trump also says there is no such thing as global warming, but it is there. And, it is probably costing so much for us. So we need to package all these together and let us start with the society and particularly our school children first. So bylaws are our policemen very much required, but it is the citizens who make life easy for other citizens. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Like every time you delivered something that only you could deliver. And like every time, it was a great learning experience. So uh, we are almost half an hour behind schedule, but I think we can catch it up. So let us take a break to freshen up. Tea is outside. Will not reduce the duration of the break. So it is going to be a 20 minutes break as it is reflecting in the agenda. And we'll come back and we'll start the panel discussion right after the tea break with all the wonderful panelists. Thank you so much. So it's 12:05 in my watch. So 12:25 is when we begin. Thank you.
It started after 20 minutes,
Okay.
12:25.
Okay.
त्रिभुवन ये वाला भी चला देना वहां से कैमरा বাইরে যাওয়ার জন্য দেখেন Okay, welcome back. Hope the tea break was helpful because we always deal with waste. We talk waste, so sometimes we get some waste deposited in our brains as well. So tea always helps. Yeah. May I request our esteemed panelist, Justice Goyal sir, Mr. Kevishusha, Swati, Dr. Ketki Ghatke is joining from Pune virtually, and Saurabh and Womfar to please come on the stage and occupy their seats. Okay, so we have 6 panelists with us. And before we get to the discussion, I will just take a few minutes to introduce all of them in one go so that we can have an uninterrupted discussion. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, so starting from my left, we have Honorable Justice Adas Kumar Goel, sir. Justice Adas Kumar Goel is a renowned Indian jurist and former Supreme Court judge. He began his career in 1974 and served as judge and chief justice of various high courts before assuming the office of the chairperson of the National Green Tribunal in 2018. His tenure at NGT from 2018 to 2023 saw him enforce the solid waste management rules, imposing environmental compensation on 35 states and union territories, and a penalty on Delhi Municipal Corporation for unscientific waste management. He mandated quarterly compliance reports, enforced legacy waste remediation in cities like Ludhiana and Gurgaon, and held private contractors financially liable for delays. His verdicts emphasize strict timelines, institutional accountability, and the polluter pays principle, significantly advancing India's urban waste governance framework. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Next to him is Mr. Kekrivor Kevisusa. He's working as the Commissioner and Secretary to the Urban Development and Municipal Affairs Department, Government of Nagaland. Mr. Kevisusa is a senior civil servant from the Indian Postal Service 2000 batch, currently serving as Commissioner and Secretary for Urban Development and Municipal Affairs in Nagaland. An alumnus of Ramjas College, Delhi University, he has held key leadership roles across Northeast India and West Bengal since 2020. He has been on deputation with the Government of Nagaland, where he has played a pivotal role in steering urban governance reforms. He was instrumental in shaping the Nagaland Municipal Act 2023, carefully balancing local socio-political sensitivities under Article 371A. At the heart of his work is a strong focus on empowering ULBs, most recently including exploring innovative, environmentally responsible revenue models for services like solid waste management, particularly in topographically challenging states like Nagaland. Next to him is Swati Singh Sambial. She is Senior Circular Economy and Partnership Experts with Grid Arundel, a Norwegian civil society, which is also known as being an UNEP partner. Swati is a Senior Circular Economy and Partnership Experts at Grid Arundel, where she leads work on plastic pollution, circular economy, and just transition. As part of her work, she supports Africa and Asia Pacific region in developing inclusive, data-driven strategies for plastic and marine litter reduction. Swati is a recognized voice in the global plastic treaty process and advocates for equitable community-led just solutions to environmental challenges. With over 14 years of experience, he brings technical and policy expertise from roles with UN Habitat, UNEP, World Bank, University of Georgia, and the Center for Science and Environment. So Swati is a former colleague in the same organization that I come from, or we come from. Next to Swati is Saurabh Manuja, co-founder Global Green Enviro Systems. That's his latest identity, but we know Saurabh in different roles. Saurabh is having around 19 years of experience in the field of research, education, and consulting. He's a national expert on solid waste management and co-founder of Global Green Enviro Systems. He has earlier worked with Waste Management Advisor at German Development Corporation, GIZ India, and formulated various national policy documents and guidelines such as home composting, guidebook, case study documentation for bioremediation, 3-year case study document, and many more. He has also worked with municipal corporations of Delhi and Varanasi in his tenure at TERI and helped them conduct audits and formulate appropriate strategies for waste management. He has also been a reviewer of UP state bylaws, which were released in 2021, which he did being a member of GIZ. Next to Saurav is Dr. Ketki Ghadge. Dr. Ghadge is joining us virtually from Pune. Dr. Ghadge is Assistant Medical Officer of Health in Pune Municipal Corporation. She is an accomplished public health officer currently serving as Assistant Medical Officer of Health in the Department of Solid Waste Management, Pune Municipal Corporation, Maharashtra. Driven by a passion for sustainable development, she has dedicated her career to issues like solid waste management, natural resource conservation, energy efficiency, and sanitation. Dr. Ghadge's experience spans fieldwork, education campaign, training programs, policy analysis, and project coordination, contributing significantly to international projects funded by organizations such as European Union and GIZ. She currently serves as Nodal Officer for Swachh Sarvekshan under Swachh Bharat Mission, furthering the commitment to improving sanitation and hygiene practices nationwide. And our last panelist is Mr. Womfar Sadap. He is the capacity building specialist at the State Mission Directorate or the State Urban Development Department with Government of Meghalaya. Womfar is currently serving as a capacity building specialist, Swachh Bharat Mission, Urban Meghalaya, working in the field of waste management since 2012. And was a part of the Northeastern Region Capital City Development and Investment Program, an initiative assisted by Mahua, Government of India, and the Asian Development Bank between 2010 and 2019, which brings a transformation of waste management in Shillong City. He is also a part of the draft committee of Meghalaya Waste Management Bylaws. So a rich pool of panelists to say the least. Can we have a big round of applause for all of them before we start the question? Okay. How do I get rid of this? Okay, yeah, it's gone. Okay. So let me start with Justice Goel, sir. It's still there. Okay. Let me see. Yeah. Is it okay now? Okay, right. So let me start with Justice Goel, sir. I mean, I have been seeing him on television screens for all these years, and so I was super excited to meet him personally. So, sir, my question to you is like, during the study, we observed that even though there is 74th Constitutional Amendment Act and Solid Waste Management Rules with its specific mandates, we have observed a tendency that the state creates a model bylaw, which is then notified by all the cities within its jurisdiction. Whereas municipal bylaw is supposed to address local needs and local priorities, which is largely found to be missing. Now, with all your experience and being in the judiciary system for so many years, and finally you ended your career in the National Green Tribunal. In your opinion, what should be the way forward so that the states take this issue with appropriate importance and encourage municipal bodies, which are constitutional and supposed to be units of local government, to kind of develop their own bylaws which reflects local needs and priorities? Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. This is a distinguished panelists and organizers and audience. It's a very complex subject. The question put by you is not difficult. It's very simple, but the problem is very serious. So we all know, in spite of all rights created under the Constitution, under the laws, all rules and regulations framed by brilliant minds, Mr. Jitendra was just now telling, and Dr. Majmudar, the compliance is the challenge, and whether it is by the citizen or by the state or by both, and how to do it. That's a serious challenge. The rules have been framed. Almitra Patel's name was there. I think she was appearing virtually. She started when there was a plague in Surat in 1995 or 96. In 96, she filed a writ petition in Supreme Court, writ petition number 888 of 1996, which is still going on. And I had opportunity to appear as a lawyer in 96, 97 for some parties at that time. Then when I came to Supreme Court as a judge, I was dealing with that petition. Then I was in NGT, I was dealing with that petition. It is still pending. And the concern was, if you don't manage the waste, what is going to happen to our lives, to the earth, to the environment? So waste is something which can be very, very harmful if the waste is there. Solutions are easy as well as difficult. Why easy? Because as you were saying, real thing is segregated. And if you have defined destination and take the waste to that destination, they call it integrated waste management facilities or whatever names are called. The point is the degradable waste must be composted on that day nearest to the point of generation. So if you achieve it, I think substantial achievement is there. Number one. Number two, the non-degradable waste, recyclable waste, should go its defined destination. Then secondary issues which come, the quality of compost. And what I am finding is there are not many startups or many service providers. There are service providers, and service providers are not very sincere most of the places, or they say we are not getting our return. The government which is handling, very, very rarely you find them to be sincere. Either the person who is rendering service doesn't get the payment, or the person who is not rendering the service is getting all the payment. So the problem is not of technology, problem is not of finance, problem is not of rules and regulations or constitution or laws or rights. Problem is of compliance by those who have to do it. And the legacy we had, the foreign governments, etc., after 75 years, the mindset to great extent still has not changed. Mindset change is required in the administration. Administration think you and we. We, the administration, you, the citizen. Instead of us, citizen and state in democracy are on the same side. And the problem is to be solved jointly. I don't think any problem of collecting or levying the user charges. I don't see it. At some places it is happening and some places it is not happening. The persons, the political leaders or political leadership thinks people will be offended. No. People will be happy if you are giving clean environment. Take the charges. Who is going to say no? Some may say no, some may not comply. But that is not the problem. Problem is how to handle the service provider. So first of all, I'll answer your technical point. That's very, very small thing. And then if you have time, I'll take 5 minutes or so. So the bylaws framing, municipal acts provide for bylaws. Okay. Bylaws are issues which are in Schedule 12 to the Constitution, which provide for local issues. Waste management is also a local issue. Even waste management rules have been framed under Environment Protection Act 1986. The waste management rules define roles and responsibilities of different authorities. They also empower municipalities or local bodies to frame rules, but the rules have to be compliant with the higher set of rules. That is, Environment Protection Act is a Parliament Act. And it is in pursuance of international obligations. And it is clearly defining. The model was approved by the Supreme Court in Al-Mutra Patel. But what happened in 2000, first set of rules was framed. They had timeline. They went on extending the timeline for compliance. The timelines expired. Then they brought out to 2016 rules. There is not much change in 2000 and 2016, except further 5-year timeline was given for different steps to be taken under the 26. That expired in April 2021. And then it says there'll be serious action, there'll be prosecution, there'll be compensation, but not a single person is ever prosecuted throughout India. Now it is 4 years, all steps required, timeline has expired, and it's a serious criminal offense, but who is punished? 3,084 mountains of garbage, right in the city of Delhi. The huge garbage, Gazipur, maybe Balaswa or Okhla, all these things. Fund is not a problem in Delhi. Central government is there. The brains are there. There's no intellectual problem. There's no problem of rules. There's no problem of destinations where it is to be taken. As you said, experts, you are experts. I am not experts. I am only observer. I am just trying to see whether as judge, whether the rules are being complied. It doesn't require much expertise. We go by the help of experts and they say, no, it has not been complied. And you can see the mountains. Why mountain is there? And why? Because so many stakeholders on the other side. On one side, stakeholders who want compliance. The other stakeholders who don't want compliance for different reasons. They have their own vested interests. Why? If you are giving contract, there may be some motive in giving contract, or the person who is to execute. And the person executing the contract, he will never end the work. So the waste goes on increasing, not decreasing. And then they say our capacity is not there to handle the current waste. Why it is not there? What is the difficulty? There is no earthly reason why there can't be waste processing to the extent of generation or more. Because the problem is being handled under judicial directions for the last 29 years, at least. So in 29 years, we have not reached a stage where we can have capacity to process the waste to the extent it is generated. Therefore, it is going on adding and adding. But then what happens to the waste which is lying, which has been lying prior to 96 also? In every city, in every major city, there are famous names because of that. I went to Ahmedabad and media people asked me, sir, what are you going to do for Pirana? So I didn't know what Pirana is. Then I saw in Google, Pirana is a big site where there is 85 lakh ton waste line. So I had a seminar. It was International Environment Day, 5th of June, 2019. And the Chief Minister of Gujarat was also there. So I don't have to do it. So I asked him, what are you going to do for Pirana? People are asking me. So he says, sir, it's a very, very complex thing. I said, why it is complex? He says, it's very costly affair. I said, no, see, in Indore, they have done it. And it will cost you about 100 crore. He says, I will give 100 crore right now. So he called the chief secretary, give 100 crore right now in a separate account and post some people there. So, and he said, we will start it from today and we will try to do it. I don't know to what extent it has been done. Why? Because ultimately, Gurgaon, I belong to Haryana. Gurgaon was a place, Bandwadi, which is just near Delhi. The problem was there when I joined in NGT. It continued till I retired and it continues even 2 years after I retired. And somebody asked me, I went to a seminar in Faridabad. Sir, funds are not there. I said, I will direct by my judicial order and fund will become available tomorrow. No, he says, if it becomes available, then we will handle. All right. Next day, I directed Haryana government to deposit 100 crore. And they deposited immediately. So 100 crore, and I said, citizens and administration, I constituted a joint committee, do it. Now they hired some contractor, situation did not reach anywhere, it remains where it. So problem is not of the rules. Yes, bylaws can be framed individually by municipal corporations under the Municipal Act, under the powers given under the Municipal Act, which you are drafting. There may be, every body has power of making rules, but the rules have to be compliant with the Municipal Act, with the Constitution, with the central laws. So that is not the issue. Collection of charges is no difficult. You are collecting income tax, you are collecting so many taxes. So this is something for providing services. But are you taking people on board? Number one, why genuine and sincere service providers are not coming forward? Can you not have a process by which they are duly compensated for the work which they are doing? Is the technology not known? So many experts, I think, sitting here says, yes, I have authority on this subject and I can say with authority what is the right technology. Maybe at one place, smaller place, technology is different. Bigger place, technology is different. Volume is more, technology is different. Waste nature, biomedical waste may require different technology. Plastic waste may require, e-waste may require different technology. Biodegradable may require different and bio-non-degradable may require different. So all these solutions have been implemented in Indore, have been implemented in Goa to an extent, have been implemented at two or three other places, but out of 4,000 cities, the implementation is not even 1 or 2 or 5%. Not that nobody is working, not that everything is dirty. We are living in a clean environment to some extent, but then to some extent waste is being collected. But is it enough or is it proper? That's the question for our consideration, and we are enlightened citizens. What do we do? It's a serious subject. I called the chief secretaries. I initially wanted to study what is the problem. I called experts, etc. when I was in NGT. Then they said, sir, it is not happening because there are problems of administrative approvals, processes, etc., etc. Then I personally called all the chief secretaries on 35 different days, 35 chiefs, all state chief secretaries. They came with their environment secretaries, with everyone else. And I interacted, why you are not doing it? And what are going to be the consequences? I collected the data, confronted them with the data, confronted them with the problem and solutions. They said, we will do it in 6 months. All right, do it in 6 months. Then if you don't do, there'll be consequences. Yes, it will be. So after 6 months again, I called them again. Then there was COVID. Then third time again called. And then I levied compensation at the rate of 300 rupees per kg or whatever was the market rate. I said this much compensation. So 80,000, how much? Some 80,000 crore was deposited, was the compensation assessed and deposited. And I said, you keep it with you and spend it on doing it. But then perhaps the problem is still there. So it is for people like you to come on the board. Solutions are there. It's not something it can't be said. It's not such a problem. But then it is a matter of doing and monitoring at the higher level, also taking on board each citizen, also making it a public movement. You are right, it's a social problem, but not merely social problem. It's a mixed of everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It is a very different perspective. Okay, let me now bring in Mr. Ketrivar Kevishu, sir. Sir, if during the study, these questions are mostly derived from the findings of the study, but you are free to also bring in your own experience and reflect on that. So we found that, like Ravinder sir mentioned very firmly, that it's a shared responsibility where citizens has a big stake, right? But we found that the citizens, I mean, when we ask particular questions that, do you know or have you heard the word municipal bylaw? The answer was, in almost all the cases, was no. So all they know that, okay, the vehicle will come. So I have been asked to segregate my waste, the vehicle will come. So basically the problem is that it's a set of law, local law. So I will be thinking about adhering to the law only when I'm aware of it. But that is basically what that such evidence was very, very limited in the study findings, as you may had the chance to see. Now, how this process of notifying the bylaw, how this can be made more inclusive so the citizens are aware. And if you could also bring in some of the reflection from your own state of Nagaland, anything. So thank you. And I'll request all the panelists to restrict their responses to about 8 to 10 minutes so that we have time for Q&A with the participants.
Thank you for the question and also for the invitation for this symposium. And I would also like to state at the outset that my introduction, there's a little bit of mistake because I was not involved in the formulation of the Nagaland Municipal Act. I came to the department after that was formulated. That was in 2023. The elections to urban local bodies was held in June of 2024. After a gap of about 20 years, when the last 19 ULBs had a brief life of about 5 years, and then after that there was a long gap when ULBs were not in existence, the elected bodies were not in existence. So during this time, the ULBs were under the control of state civil service officers, and it was being administered like extension of the district administration. So now the elections to the ULBs were held after I would say a decade-long effort from the state government to change mindsets of people. And it also, because I think it also involved the reservation of seats for women. So that was one of the issues, but some of the issues were also pretty polarizing. So finally, the elections had to be held, and we did conduct the elections successfully. And the elected local bodies are now in existence in 25 out of 39 ULBs in Nagaland. The 14 ULBs have held out, and the state government did not insist on having elections there. But even the drafting, the formulation, and the passing of the Nagaland Municipal Act needed certain exclusions from the Central Act. And the biggest is that the property tax has been excluded from the Nagaland Municipal Act. And this was one of the main issues of, the local resistance to the elections. And these all boils down to exemptions offered by Article 371A in case of indigenous inhabitants of Nagaland. And under the umbrella of Article 371A, there is always public outcry and resistance to any law that the state government proposes to pass. So the state government is always, it goes the extra mile to hold consultations, and process takes a little bit longer than it would take in other states. Now, having said that, we come to, with the stage being set for the ULBs to take shape, and we come to the state where, these bylaws need to be drafted now. And we didn't have ULBs, so we didn't have bylaws. Now we find that we do need bylaws for certain functions, and sanitation and waste management has been entrusted to the ULBs. But after such a long time, having the ULBs coming into shape, the elected councillors also do not know their roles and responsibilities because there's no precedence for them. And so it's a matter of, finding roles for them and effectively implementing those roles. That's been the effort for the last 1 year. And the department has been working on identifying and codifying and, I would not waste my word segregation, but segregation of powers and responsibilities between the ULBs and other bodies that are in existence. So we are working on waste management bylaws for the ULBs presently, and it will come into shape. Now, for example, the department has drafted the state building bylaws, and it is ready, but it is kept in cold storage because we are afraid of public outcry in case it is made mandatory. So it will again take around 2 or 3 years of consultations and whatnot, all those kind of things before it is pushed down the throat of people. But happy to note that demand for building bylaws are increasing also. Similarly, the demand for the waste management bylaws will also come because like Justice Goel has stated, people will pay for good services. And it is something that we feel that we are experiencing also, that in Nagaland, even without the legislation of bylaws or having codified rules in place, the waste management effort has been guided by the community participation. What happens is that we have identified colonies and wards into responsibilities of certain elected councillors, and accordingly, the effort of waste management is with the participation of communities and households. Now, charges are being levied, and people have no problem paying those service charges. The only issue is how much. So now, in the absence of property taxes, the ULBs are also trying to find ways in how to maximize their revenue. And the conflict becomes, that how much they can charge and how much people are willing to pay. So that conflict is still going on. And so that is something that we have experienced on a day-to-day basis. And we feel that now it is time for the department also to specify exactly the bylaws that are needed for this. And however, we also do have some good practices in Nagaland that are helping us. Firstly, in Nagaland, there is a traditional practice, and it is mostly in the rural areas, but also in the urban areas, it is still being practiced that wet waste is always segregated at home. And in I would say in most of the rural villages, that is a common practice. And what happens is that at Nagas, we do raise poultry and pigs at home. So the wet waste, the food waste goes there. And it is mostly removed at source. And now in urban areas, we are facing that mixed waste is being generated. But even in urban areas, that practice still goes on. So that is one good practice. Sir, I will say that the NGT ruling for Dimapur, the main city of Nagaland, penalizing the state for its poor waste management efforts has resulted, it was a big wake-up call, sir. And I believe you are well familiar with it. The state was fined about 200 crores, I think, that was kept in a ring fence account for using against waste management efforts. And it was a big wake-up call for us, and we are now more careful with our planning. We are more careful with the identification of sites. We are more careful with the efforts towards ensuring that this environmental safeguards are in place. But without that wake-up call, I think we would just have been going along as it is without any concern for environmental issues. So all these things have resulted in the realization that waste management should be possible and can be possible. So in the first step, we also took efforts towards the last Hornbill Festival. That in Nagaland, we have a very famous Hornbill Festival that is from the 1st to 10th of December. So during the last Hornbill Festival in 2024, we called it the single-use plastic and zero waste event. And I think by our estimates, it was the biggest and the longest zero waste effort in for an event. About 21,700 kgs of waste, both wet and dry, were collected. And these were properly segregated. These were properly disposed of from both the waste and the dry waste. It's sent to recyclers. And this was a coordinated effort between the state government, and our local consultant that was Green Guard. It was a local company that we engaged, and also we got expertise from firms in Indore. So it was a three-pronged attempt, and I would say it was very successful. But on the flip side, after the event was completed, then we got a call from another department saying that, what are you going to do with that waste? We asked, what waste? We have disposed of all the waste. Then they said, no. For the Hornbill, there was a lot of reconstruction done, and all those construction material have been dumped behind that hill. We were not aware of that. So we said, then why are you not asking the departments who dump them there, the PWD, the PHE? So that was also something that came to our notice. So construction and demolition, these materials are always an issue. So that's something, sir, that you have spoken about during your talk. And I think the state also is now in a huge infrastructure development drive. So I think that is something that will be needed to explore. But in a nutshell, I would say that taking all this into consideration, that especially in Nagaland, efforts towards local participation in building bylaws is, or in bylaws in general, is can be made through effective and constant publicity. We need to it should be information education campaigns through print media, through social media, and also identification of best practitioners. That it can be ward, it can be colonies, it can be households, but and during our surveys, if people had said that they are not aware, it's because it's not existing. So yeah, that could be one thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so let me bring in Swati now. Swati, my question to you is, I mean, we have seen many cities have provisioned incentives in the municipal bylaw through, let's say, tax rebates or energy bills, and which has motivated people to indulge into good practices like source segregation or even home composting, right? And there are cities who have provided additional incentives for households who were into home composting. But when we look at the data, specifically different to the study, that 65% bylaws have some kind of a mention, but evidence of implementation was observed in only 8%. On the contrary, there are cities who are known for being champions of waste management, and they have successfully used incentive as a behavior change strategy. So my question to you, like, how do we amplify it? And what should be the strategy? How can we get it included as a strategy to promote segregation and change behavior to waste?
Thank you. Thank you so much, CSE and Atin. I'm an alumni of CSE, a proud one at that. And so happy to see some friends and colleagues. We're all sort of experts in the sector. So good to be here and honored to be in the gathering of Majumdar sir, Almitra ma'am, and Ravinder sir, and everyone here on the panel. Coming to your question, I feel this has worked on a case-to-case basis. We see for some cities, incentives such as these have worked. For some, it has failed miserably. And I have a few notes to support my stand. I do believe that incentive-based strategies, they can play a prominent role, in promoting source segregation and home composting. But their success primarily hinges on how well they are designed, implemented, and monitored. We have numerous stories in India. We have Ambikapur in Chhattisgarh, where they've provided rebates on property tax for households practicing segregation and composting. And this, of course, has led to, very strengthened segregation incentive system on the ground. And of course, the forward linkages that the city provided. But then a few years back, I visited Mangaluru, which had a very similar rebate and an incentive scheme. But it dropped flat completely because of the fact that there wasn't enough awareness around it. There wasn't like behavior nudges that were created to support these schemes that the municipality had formulated. We also have Alapura and cities like Trivandrum in Kerala, and maybe a few more municipal provinces in the region, which have turned things around decentralized composting and strong community engagement, supported by targeted subsidies, for instance, providing free compost bins or providing very high subsidies for biogas plants. But again, where it has worked, I think in many of my recent visits to these cities, the system is now faltering slowly because of the overflowing quantums of waste. So we've also seen instances where very good mechanisms have been created on the ground, but then they are not able to compete with the ongoing challenges, say the overflowing quantums of waste, or also, so to say, the challenges in tackling, new kinds of waste within the stream, or not having done enough to revamp the existing systems, because could be what worked a decade back is not working in 2024, 2025. We also have example of Indore, which has a robust monitoring mechanism through digital tracking of door-to-door collection system. They've also done this with Surat and Vijayawada. So of course, at places this is working, at places it is not. I feel incentives cannot be provided like sweets. There needs to be very clear mechanisms around it. There also needs to be very concrete data monitoring and compliance enforcement around it, which Mr. Adarsh clearly highlighted. And I feel these models, they worked, because incentives were introduced, but also because they were paired with strong community outreach, robust mechanism and monitoring systems, and also a strong political will. I was just having a conversation during the tea break that many a times what is happening in ULBs, it's also top down, so there's a citizen will, there is administrative will, but even political will that has a huge influence on how these systems operate on the ground. So we really need to keep note of all this. Why incentives work? Of course, number one, behavioral economics shows that people respond to small nudges, monetary or recognition based. So I think both these systems, both these schemes can be utilized. They also help bridge the initial inertia that residents may feel in shifting from a mixed waste disposal system to a segregated one. But however, I feel that the study has rightly highlighted the real challenge. I recently had a conversation with someone who has set up a zero waste colony in Delhi without taking any names, and they were planning to expand the system to, say, a few other RWAs in Delhi. And this person clearly highlighted that residents are more comfortable in outsourcing their wet and dry waste. Because the first question I asked was that, what is the percentage of residents that are willing to compost at source? We must target that. And the response of the person was that even if my colony is zero waste, residents are more comfortable in outsourcing 100% of their waste outside and let the colony sort of set up those systems. So I feel there is clearly some inconvenience with home composting. It could be due to lack of awareness, maybe also lack of options. I mean, of course, there's a daily dump and there are a few other brands out there to compost, but how many of us are well versed with it? How many of us are also comfortable with the option of composting or, say, have a small biogas plant at home? So I think, behavior change and awareness is something which is lacking. What can be done to improve this further? I feel we need operational guidelines and templates for ULBs. They need clear SOPs for executing these incentive schemes, what qualifies for the incentive, how it will be monitored, and who verifies compliance. I think these things are the key. Also, we're living in the time of AI, so leverage digital monitoring tools. Cities like Indore, Vijayawada, Surat, they have experimented with these options. They have developed real-time dashboards and GPS-tracked waste collection systems. So probably, cities who have the bandwidth to explore with digital dashboards and monitoring should look into that. Local ward level budgeting. I think many of the RWAs, even the RWA that I live in, I really tried hard to make it a zero waste colony, but it always comes down to the budget, that we don't have budgets to say buy composters or to buy those units. And I feel decentralized funds should be sort of provided to RWAs at ward level or cluster level so that they have more freedom to choose for these options. I feel even if RWAs want to shift to such options, there is a lack of funds. So probably top down, it's going somewhere, but I think it not really trickles down at the RWA level, or the RWAs are not really aware how to source these funds, in my experience. And also have recognized space incentives, maybe small behavior nudges. So all incentives need not be monetary, but say green certificates, social media recognition could be explored. We have seen cities like Pune, Mysuru, who have used this effectively. We also have Sahas here, who has done a commendable work all these years in, sort of providing these behavior nudges to influence home composting, segregation at source. So I feel all these models that have worked in the past, I think it should be really looked into, and behavior change is the key. I mean, if everyone wakes up to brush their teeth and if everyone wakes up to segregation and home composting, if we reach to that level, I think that's the real win. I work more at a global level now, and so I feel peer learning and South-South exchange, and this is also something that CSE does beautifully, should be explored. We have many successful models. I don't really have to explain, but Seoul has a pay-as-you-throw model. It is also implemented in many cities across South Korea. We have Stockholm, which incentivizes segregation. So the more you segregate, the less you generate, the less user fee you pay. We also have San Francisco, which is a leader on zero waste through the city's reuse, recycling, and composting efforts. In fact, they have a 2030 zero waste agenda or a charter. So I think, why can't our cities look into those options? And I feel we not really have to also look outside. Even if we just look inward, there are so many models at small scale or a large scale that are operating in India itself that could be emulated. And then I feel informal sector, they are an important voice and often not involved. Involving waste pickers in the verification process, they can both strengthen monitoring and also creating livelihoods. So we already have an existing resource that we are only using for cherry picking and only using for, say, sorting. But I feel, why can't we sort of uplift them more for compliance assurance or monitoring and further integrate them into the municipal systems? So I feel, yeah, I mean, these are some of the tools that can be utilized. And I'm not like 100% supporter of incentives, but I feel incentives, when done right, they can trigger long-term behavioral change. But for them to work, they need to be localized, they need to be transparent, and they need to be supported by real-time data and active citizen participation. And I just hope CSE, I'm just taking the opportunity, Atin, before I close, that maybe you can, sort of collect the wealth of recommendations that we've got today as a charter that could be submitted,
Of course.
to the ministry, because it's an amazing forum where you can speak openly without a buffer. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Excellent. So we did submit the report to even Joint Secretary Rupa ma'am. She's the National Mission Director as well. And basically we requested Javi Ravinder's presence here, and she agreed graciously, and she also told me categorically that let me know what comes out of this event so that we can revisit, because CPHO long back they created a model bylaw, and Ravinder sir kind of pioneered the whole process himself. So definitely, I mean, this whole event is also being recorded and live streamed, so we'll have everything to kind of recollect, even if we lose something to note. Thank you, Swati. Let me now bring in Dr. Ketki Ghadge. She is joining us from Pune. She is the Assistant Medical Officer of Health in Pune Municipal Corporation. Thank you, Dr. Ghadge. So my question to you is something that Swati ended her observation with, is the informal sector. There's a common analogy about informal sector, that if we are not already drowned under our own waste, that is because of they are doing what we were supposed to do, right? So I'm not getting into the numbers, because we have seen in the presentation made by Mo in the morning that how many bylaws have factored some sort of integration measures, or versus how many cities have actually been able to do something around integration. Now, you come from a city which is known to be a champion, not only in India, because we brought colleagues from 19 African countries when I visited Pune to see your partnership with the Swachh Cooperative, which has about 5,000 waste pickers who are collecting your waste from almost 9 lakh sources, or 9 lakh sources would be the more appropriate term. And there are many co-benefits, like the cost is way lower than any city of its size. The recovery is much higher. Segregation is kind of top notch. You are hardly using any motorized vehicle. So the entire primary collection is being taken care by tricycle, which I believe is now being retrofitted with batteries to, make them move a lot faster. So, but on the contrary, we only have one Pune model in India and not many. So my question to you is, how do we get this partnership or this kind of model replicated even in the other parts of the country? Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. About Pune, Pune is the one of the biggest city in Western Maharashtra. We have an area of 500 square kilometers and the population of around 60 lakh. Pune is generating 2,200 tons of solid waste per day. And why the specific need? Next slide, please. Why the specific need was felt for setting up the system or the bylaws? The process started in early 2010, and the segregation was mandate segregation at source was mandate, but there was no clear-cut penalty. And so the key issues were faced, like we need to counter the NIMBY syndrome, and also we have a user fee based model, but there was no enforcement for the earlier slide. So there was less enforcement, and also we need to have a penalty actions for the non-payment of user fees. Next slide, please. So the process started in 2014, and we needed a system design. Almost 15-20 meetings were held with over a period of 4 months for different stakeholders engagement, and various citizens groups were involved, like organization, West speakers, organization like KKPKP and SWACH, PMC officials, citizens representatives, NGOs, experts on solid waste management, and we came together and tried to discuss the model and design the ideal situation or the ideal solid waste management systems for the Pune city. And based on these extensive discussions, our system was ideated. And from this ideal system, we could design these bylaws, or we could come up with the drafting of the bylaws. So the Pune has set up a system or the vision for decentralized waste management, which was focusing at the segregation at source, primarily segregation at source, and integrating the informal sector. So these bylaws were drafted to fit into this vision. And in 2015, the first new contract was drafted with the waste speakers Swatch organization. And during this joint effort, the PM's Swatch came forward, and then we have made various provisions as per what were needed for integrating the waste speakers and for long-term support of this model. So the PMC bylaws came into existence before the rule 2016 came, actually, and then we reformulated them, or we modified them once the draft was revised with series of discussion. We took as the inputs from the SWM officials, experts, head of the departments, assistant commissioners, the ground level staff, and also the health officers. And it was reviewed by the PMC legal team and finalized by the municipal commissioner. After seeking the various suggestion objections from the general public, we have finalized it, and the general body has also given the approval. The political sensitization was also done, and then it is submitted to the state government, and then the UT department has recognized Pune's bylaws, and they have made it as a model, and they have also circulated the bylaws to all over the state, and also it was helpful to the other ULBs who have not made it. uh, Next slide, please. So more specifically, how the process started. Actually, we have institutionalized this model of waste speakers. Started in 1996. KKPKP is a waste speakers union, which is a Kagat Kaspatra Kashtakari Panchayat, and they used to issue the I-cards. But PMC started a practice of endorsing the I-cards, and so that we are recognizing their work. Then we are the first in India to offer the medical insurance for the waste speakers, and we are giving it for all the waste speakers who are working in the KKPKP as well as Swatch. And then we have run a pilot with the waste speakers for the waste speakers integration, and in which the appeal letter was given from the PMC, and we are providing the equipments for the collection agency. The year later, then the MOU is signed between PMC and Swatch. In 2007, actually, PMC and KPPK came together, and we have formed a body, cooperative Swatch. It stands for Society for Waste Collectors and Handlers, and it is a joint venture, and it is a central waste collection agency now. And then in 2008, PMC entered into the formal contract for 5 years MOU with the Swatch, and there were a lot many mandates or the provisions for the integration. In 2015, we provided them the various social security benefit like life insurance, health insurance, education, and social. And then there was a gap of from 2013 to 15 during the renewal, and during this gap, we actually developed our systems, and we made various provisions for the integration of the waste speakers. And from 2016, it was MOU was then renewed for 5 years, and after 2020 renewal was done for 2 years with few gaps or few shorter period renewals. And recently we have in 2024 we have again come up with the longer MOU that is for 5 years duration. So in this contract or in this MOU we have made various provision as we had added a separate chapter in the bylaws, and the bylaws we have made it mandate for the user fee collection, because this is a completely user fee based model, and there are different user fees defined for the residential, commercial, as well as slums. There was fines for the non-payment, then also how the integration of the waste speakers can be done, and the most important is places for the sorting, or the sorting areas are made mandatory in the bylaws, because this is a very important in recycling. So next slide. From our learning, so how we can ensure the waste speakers integration through bylaws. So this process we have followed, like we have designed the bylaws, and we have taken waste speakers perspectives, or the waste speakers were involved in throughout the process. We can also sort the inspiration from the MSW rules, then also from the Swachh Sarvekshan, SBM guidelines, and also the social justice schemes like Namaste have also added the framework for identifying and integrating the waste speakers into the system. So this system approach we have adopted, and the entire SWM system should be designed to include the informal sector, right from the collection, transportation. Segregation is of course the heart of the entire process. Then collection, transportation, processing, and of course the recycling. So all the aspects of SWM were covered, and we have designed it to fit into the model, and it has gone along the model. So next slide, please. Direct replication may not be possible in all the cities, but there are some key elements which should be adopted, or there are some approaches which can be taken into consideration. There should be engagement of the waste speakers with co-designing of the models and regulation. So leveraging the existing informal sector network is very important. We cannot displace them or we cannot remove them from the system, but we can always upgrade our system by integrating the informal sector, and we can offer them more greener jobs always, and we can have we can take their expertise in various aspects. So we have done the same. Then we have also there are lot many commissioners and the HODs, and they need to seek the political support and confidence also, and also the citizen sensitization also was carried out. The most important part is budget. Other speakers have also already mentioned about it. So the provisions were needed for the waste speakers integration, their training, infrastructure provision, equipments, and of course the social security. So we should ensure that our bylaws should, or any policy, any contract or MOUs should always reflect our intent of integration of waste speakers. So these concrete steps we can follow. Next slide, please. So these are the some of the recommendations, like providing, recognizing them, providing the ID cards, providing social security benefits, and like a Pune model, also we can have a MOU with the waste speakers, and we should authorize them for collecting the user fee. We should also authorize them for collecting the other allied services or the parallel services, or the greener services. Then also we can integrate in them other municipal contracts or the MOUs. We can also always involve them for processing at transfer stations, at MRFs. Also, like Swati madam has mentioned, we can always involve them for third party auditing, or for providing the incentives, or the providing tax rebates. They can always be of help. And also we can utilize them for annual MCMs, SHG models to support the scrap stores, MRFs. Pune has also developed the scrap stores. Means there are the waste speakers are the owners of the scrap stores. So there is less funding, or less viability gap funding is needed for them. So this is about the Pune's model. So the important thing is we should commit and we should follow through, because if we want to sustain this model, we can ensure the long-term sustainability through the bylaws, and to mandate and ensure this integration. Next slide, please. We don't displace the waste speakers, and we can always integrate them through innovative schemes by setting up cooperative stores or for involving them in situ composting. And for leveraging the existing models, PMC will be proud to host the other cities to understand or integrate the model and support the other cities in designing their own. Because we have taken almost 30 years to come here, but other cities cannot afford this time, so they have to take lead, and they can always involve the West because integrate them and come forward and design their own policies and bylaws. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was really inspiring, and for all the participants, like PMC doesn't pay any remuneration or salaries to these waste pickers. So the only source of remuneration is that they have allowed the waste pickers to collect the user charges, which is again enforced by the municipal corporation for the catchment that one waste picker is serving. Let's say some 250 to 300 household. It can vary depending on the size of the society. Thank you so much, Dr. Ghatge. If possible, please stay with us, because right after the panel, we will take questions from the participants, and there could be questions for you.
Thank you.
So let me now turn to Saurabh. Saurabh, again, thank you for coming all the way from Aligarh. I'll just summarize the question very briefly. More than half of Indian cities, if not the number is higher because we do not have a database, have outsourced their waste management to private entities, right? And when these entities are hired, I mean, the process of procurement or the bidding process, it does not really have the sustainability mandates right built in. Like still they are paying tipping fees, and tipping fees are paid based on the quantity or weight. So the segregation is not really a kind of a standard condition in the procurement practice or the bidding process. And this is definitely why the cities where they are not doing it themselves, rather it is being done by a private entity, they're finding the most easy solution to collect and dump. And Justice Goyal sir also mentioned like how we developed more than 3,000 man-made mountains in India, including three in our own city. So in your opinion, like how this can be factored, I mean, whether it can be factored in the municipal bylaw as something that Mo told in the morning. The bylaw can be seen from two lenses: one, the duties and responsibilities of the local government, and that of the citizens. So can it feature in the duties of responsibility of the local government, or can the government think of bringing a kind of a procurement policy, or have the procurement policy feature as a subset of the existing law, or the law that is probably you're going to see towards the end of this year, the revised waste management rules? So your reflection, please. Thank you.
I think first of all, thank you for having me here. Thanks to CSE and you all.
I can use this handle.
I can go there.
Because we also joined by almost 500 virtual participants who are seeing us online. So.
Yeah, thanks. I feel more comfortable standing and talking. I think the question that you posed also had an answer. Answer is yes, but that yes has a asterisk conditions apply. What we need in our country through bylaws are set of things that consider whole lot of recommendations that are coming, that we heard since morning. Majumdar sir very clearly said that we need capacity building of people who formulate TORs, who put in place the key performance indicators. Ravinder sir very clearly said we need capacity building. It's a social issue. So for having duties of waste generator, it's a social issue. For having operator for processing waste, it's a technical issue. So we need complex. So it's a complex solution, not just a simple yes. First of all, the bylaws should very clearly state what is the administrative model of an ULB. Some states have SPVs. Like in Goa, we clearly see there is a special purpose vehicle. There is Goa Waste Management Authority, which supports every decision of an ULB. There are different mechanisms like that. In we go to Rajasthan, there is a separate environmental monitoring cell which supports, again, it's a DLB supporting urban local bodies through various administrative structures, TORs, things like that. But that is not common across the country. There are issues. Sometimes there are issues like it's panchayati raj institutions which fall under a different ministry head, whereas there is an urban local body which falls under a different head. Suddenly there is an overlap. The boundaries of the urban local bodies expand. The areas which were never used to see those changes now have to see, or randomly they have come under a municipal bylaw. And for them or for the people being there, it's not so common. While it was common for urban local body people. So the solutions are not very simple. We need administrative structure, we need frameworks, we need monitoring, review, verification mechanisms along with key performance indicators. So we need to formulate. So if you want to have a suppose somebody who's collecting waste, there need to be key performance indicators, whether the waste that was collected was segregated. It is not only about being segregated 100% or not, it is whether it was segregated to the level of satisfaction every day. So whether that rigorous monitoring was there. We talk about incentivizing people or disincentivizing as well, but monitoring is something that can provide us data and facts whether we should go with that. As part of a support program way back in 2019, we did some experiments in Varanasi to monitor if people were segregating waste. We successfully found that the level of segregation of daily handing over of waste was increasing while there was rigorous monitoring and there was push. But that was not there in all urban areas. Why? Because people were not relying on infrastructure and services that were provided by urban local body. They had a feeling that as you will go, this service, the one who's coming to collect waste every day will also not come. So that bonding, that reliance, that infrastructure needs to come first along with institutional frameworks. Institutional frameworks come along with contracts. Contracts come with key performance indicators and MRVs. Now, you also had a question like most of the ULBs are going with contracting systems, outsourcing. Fact is, yes, they are going, and reason is that it is cheaper. Like I'll not name a ULB. I was few days back in an urban local body asking what is your cost per ton. Answer that came from the garage department was, take out my staff. It's 2,300 rupees per ton. Include my staff, which is only for street sweeping. This is 6,500 per ton. The variation was because the urban local body has staff which was appropriately placed, appropriate salaries and having increments throughout the years. Whereas the contractors has lowest minimum wages. So we also need to think of all these things while they are outsourcing. Is the minimum being shared? Yeah, that's what I bring along with me, that there is a need for having everything in place, but there is a need to have key performance indicators. We can say that disincentivization is required, but not in a negative manner. Rather, incentivizing the ones which are doing good and charging the ones who are not doing good. already pitch in the fiscal incentives and disincentives for people. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, Saurabh. The numbers were really mind-boggling. But yeah, we'll delve into it to and learn more about it. So let me turn to Wumfar, last but not the least. And thank you, Wumfar, for agreeing to be a part of the panel when we missed one of the colleague that was supposed to come from your own state because of some family issues. So my question to you is very simple. That, like, again, I'm just reverting back to what Mo presented in the morning, that bylaws have two large components. कि ULBs क्या करेगा, what they are putting in their name in the bylaw, कि ये हम करेंगे, and they are putting something for the citizens. Now, during the course of the study, we encountered several respondents, mostly citizens who are the recipients, that even if we segregate, the services and infrastructure on the other side is not equipped to do justice to my segregated waste. Means it is mixed at the time of collection by whosoever is coming to collect. Now, and this is something that largely is being missed even from the state administration. The monitoring is probably very limited at this point of time. Now, my question to you, because you represent the State Mission Directorate and you are also overseeing the implementation of SBM 2.0 in Meghalaya. So what is your experience and how do you think that, how can we ensure that the ULBs are also fulfilling their promises while they're asking the citizens to do what they're asking to do? Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Atin, for your question. I was wondering what Atin will ask me. So, first, before I answer the question, actually, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the people who are involved in transformation of waste management in Meghalaya. Why I want to thank them is because I'll answer the word of thanks will be answering the question of what Atin has asked me. First thing first, I would like to thank the CSE for always being there with us, and even for drafting of bylaws in Meghalaya and all. I take their guidance and all. We sit back in Meghalaya. And for your kind information, sir, from Nagaland, we have the capacity building specialist before, way back in 2016. He's from Nagaland, Mr. Paul Loco. He's the one who is my mentor, who is guiding us. Then I was the person who's supposed to sit here or to stand and to be in this panelist was Shri F.B. Khan, the executive engineer. He's the man behind the solid waste management bylaws, which I can say it's practically implementable in Meghalaya. We make it in such a way we localize it. So, and I also thanks the Sir Goyal. Actually, what happened when way back in 2012 we started a waste. So giving awareness program, intensive awareness program in Shillong City when the EDB program is there. Then I'm so sorry, like this is a platform which I can speak my heart, is that we don't get a support, but bam, come the NGT about 135 crores. So everyone, it's a wake-up call. And 135 crores with a warning that this is just a beginning. So everyone wake up and if everyone take it seriously. Now I can see Meghalaya is transforming. Yes, that's why I'm thanking him. That's why I said thank you, Sir Goyal. So actually for others it's a curse. For us environment enthusiasts is a blessings. We have NGT. So, and among our friends, among our colleagues, when I was in class 11, class 12. And now, when after I got married and all, I came to learn. I know I first happened to meet Madam Almitra. Among our friends, which is we have a group of friends we love environments. We stop people littering. We built a system in Maulanong and all, the cleanest village in Asia. We built a system on how people will handle community at a community level. So we call Madam Almitra the mother of cleanliness India. So thank you, Madam Almitra, for encouraging a young. Okay, for encouraging a young people like us, and I'll try to take this message to encourage my younger ones. So, if I'm not mistaken, correct me, sir, if I'm wrong. You have visited Meghalaya for just recently, sir. Like, for use water management. No, okay, sir. But one among of the CPO or CPHEO advisors, sir, visited the Meghalaya and met the mission director. We took the use water from the CPHEO, and he gave us one advice that Shillong city and Meghalaya cannot have I can say it's an unplanned city. So sewage management, laying of sewer pipelines is not feasible. So try for a decentralized waste management or sewer. So we try, and now 3 projects is in place, sir. Just for your information, is that it is under pilot projects, and it's happening. So these are why I'm thanking all these people behind is that in Meghalaya, me as a capacity building specialist, actually I don't claim myself expert, but I'm coordinating with the expert on how to bring changes in Meghalaya. That is the strategy I'm using. That is the strategy which I have with me, the mentors Sri K. Kharamnoj and FB Khan and Sri Paul Loko. I think all of them are watching me now. So we are trying to bring this strategy to change, to transform Meghalaya. And coming to the question, yes, CSE in a year, they will visit us 3 times in a year, and they are really helpful. And I didn't tell them, please hide this, please. You go, I'll take you, I'll send my colleagues and all to take you to landfill site and all. You give me the best, because I have to accept what I went wrong. Okay, so that is the strategy. What went wrong so that we can correct ourselves. So that's what the attend also without hesitation. He knows that mission director is there. The director is watching him also, and they will come and meet the director. They usually go and meet the director, mission director, but he says straight because we want what is happening should be said to us in front so that we can correct ourselves. So yes, I agree. This is not only from CSE. Even the people out there, they keep writing to us that although 70% of these residents of the household in Shillong city, in Shillong Municipal Board, segregating the waste. Yes, I think Shruti, Mao and Kefi can back me up for that. So 70% of the citizens of Shillong segregate their waste, but the problem is it comes to the municipal while transporting the waste. Although 70%, but in a day, purely biodegradable waste, purely segregated waste, Shillong generated 199 tons of waste, which is collected 180. And as I said, from Nagaland in Shillong, we still have this same. I think from the hill, we have a tribe. We are tribals. So we still practice this household composting, and people of Shillong like flowers, okay, and like kitchen garden. So they still around 30 tons of waste is going to the kitchen, to the piggery farms. So only 170 to 180 tons of waste is being collected. And and out of this collected waste, only around a maximum of 30 is a purely segregated waste. When we check in the field, when we go for inspections and all, people are segregating. But when it reached to a disposal site, we got the answer that it shows that people are not segregating. So that there's some transportation problems with the municipal, not only in Shillong, but in other municipal, which just on the 17th, we had a meeting. We call it NGT review meeting, but it's all discussed on this point, which I cannot say what we will take action, because we will be drafting the point of action to be submitting to the state, and the state will give a direction to the ULBs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Omfar, and thank you for the honesty, which is rare. Well, I'm not going to ask any of you whether you are hungry, because I don't want to be beaten up. But if the House agrees, we can take few questions, maybe for about 5 to 10 minutes, because all the panelists are there on the dais. We have the keynote speakers. We have Almitra Patel ma'am and Dr. Ketki available virtually. So any show of hands for questions? Right. Guys, can you just help with the mic, please, that side? Or maybe give it to Shrotik. It'll be easier. And please mention who you are asking the question to. Yes, Monica, please. Turn it on.
Is this working? Yeah. Thank you, sirs and madam, for a lovely session. And special thank you, sir, Mr. Goel, for, your landmark finds. So I'm from the Citizen Supervisory Committee of Gurgaon, and all of us felt like, unfortunately, the citizens were getting a double thappad. First we pay our taxes to the government, and we expect them to do what is supposed to be their mandate. And then we are fined from the same money, and it goes to the government. And yet, in spite of the fines being paid, we don't see considerable action on the ground. So how do you set a benchmark where, where the defaulting officers or people who have been put in charge of this money are unable to execute and do, in spite of, first instance, they're supposed to do what they were meant to do. Then they are given a lot of money from the same, citizen body, and they still don't accomplish what they're meant to. Shouldn't it be now reversed and moved towards the government or even the politicians to be fined and brought under the, how do we get a balance there? Because we are not seeing action on the ground in spite of the fines and everything that's happening. Citizens are suffering either way.
Your question is valid, but this punitive regime is not easy to implement, because there are requirements of natural justice. There are multiple authorities. Administration is a separate field. Judiciary is a separate field. Therefore, just punishing doesn't help also. Just creates a scare that people don't want to be there, and they have their own problems. Generally, depends on sincerity level. So I think more important is creating awareness, and also not depend exclusively on the government. Government and citizen both must work together. And government should provide leadership, should enable like RWAs, or rag pickers or other people should be integrated. All should be brought on board, and monitoring should be done. Leadership should be provided. Expert help should be taken. People can fund it. It's not that you are giving a huge money for waste management. I don't think very big amounts are being given or demanded also. And if it is contributed and the cost of rag pickers, wages, etc., are paid, I think it will not be a big burden. But ultimately, aware citizen leaders, leadership of citizens, that's how in Indore also it is people's initiative which has helped. So merely expecting the government is perhaps difficult unless you are sure that there are people very sensitive, very sincere to their work. There are people who are very sincere. Some of them are working very well, but not all. And therefore, it is people, if the people are aware, people are conscious, people are alert, then the government will also be on the toes and the government will also respond. So that's how the citizens as well as government, both simultaneously, this has to work, and creating awareness right from childhood, right from school days, and also all around in the residents, that this is something to be done. It's a minimum thing. Hygiene is a first thing for your good health, for your prosperity. So once that is there, I think these solutions can be found. Not the just technicalities, or not that fixing accountability is not so easy thing. That can be, of course, there. It has to be there. Accountability has to be. I'm not saying it's not there. It is there. But then merely punishing them doesn't bring about result. Simultaneously, how constructively, positively, how we can go ahead, that has to be focused more, in my view. Thank you.
Next question, please. Please keep it short. Please keep
Good afternoon, sirs and ma'ams. First of all, I would like to congratulate the organizer CSC for organizing this program. Myself, sir, Deputy Director, SUDA, Government of West Bengal, Amitabh Das. Sir, I would like to present the status of West Bengal in a nutshell. Consequent upon the Solid Waste Management Rule 2016, suitable amendments in our Municipal Act has been provided. Under Section 95B, special conservancy charges have been introduced, and Section 260 to 272 of the West Bengal Municipal Act clearly indicates the responsibility of the citizens also, by which we can impose the polluter's pay and realizing it. Sir, so far as 128 ULBs is concerned, almost in 88 ULBs, so the final bylaw has been not only published, but user charges are being collected, and so as the polluters pay. Out of which 3 municipal corporations, that means out of 7 municipal corporations, 3 municipal corporations, Asansol Municipal Corporation, Siliguri Municipal Corporation, and Durgapur Municipal Corporation, they have started collecting user charges from commercial establishment also, and SMC, that means the Siliguri Municipal Corporation, partially from their citizens also.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. If you have any question, please get to the question. Thank you for the updates. I mean, we keep documenting good practices. Yeah. Okay. If you have any question, please ask the question.
Sir, with regards to the questions, I would like to, sir, so far as the disposal, that means processing and disposal is concerned, the main challenges is that, sir, because of the land constraints, if newer technology, say, for example, the syngas, the torrefication, the pyrolysis, and something like that comes up with a view that to reduce the footprint issues, and where the capex can, some portion of the capex can be borne by the state, and the rest by the producers, mainly the MNCs, who are in the packaging and the dry waste, that means generation were doing. So if they can be made accountable, in the form of CapEx and OpEx to deal with this kind of thing, I think that would be very helpful. This is my humble suggestions to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, anyone else for a question? Very quickly, maybe one or two. Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Great place. Thank you for having us here. My name is Smita Ahuja, and we've heard a lot of suggestions. I just wanted to ask from all the people here, all of us know that enforcement is a huge issue, and we have all kind of identified that if we can manage wet waste closest to source, it will lead to higher impact. Now, is there any way we can have rules that say that under no condition wet waste can reach the landfill? Getting the wet waste till the landfill is not allowed.
Rule is there, madam. Rule is there.
Okay. The second part, the second relating to this, in the rules that have been laid, there are a lot of ambiguities. And I've raised this in the last time where Sir had said, maybe I'll answer at another forum. And which is on the BWGs, it says that you can compost or biomethanate for BWGs as far as possible. Now that ambiguity leads to, and I work with a lot of RWAs and BWGs, it leads to one RWA approving it, and subsequently after 2 years that RWA goes and the next one comes and they go and use that ambiguity as an advantage. So now that we are looking at reframing the rules, the ambiguities in the law should be removed to the best of our ability. The third one is that we are now having a lot of medical waste that is getting generated at household levels. And the rules don't take care of the medical waste disposal in a proper manner.
These things, madam, the rules are very, very categorical. There is no ambiguity. Biomedical waste rules are also there separately.
Household, sir.
In household also,
Yeah.
of course, the medical, those hospitals and medical service providers are of course covered. Individuals are not covered, but
Yeah.
medical waste, biomedical waste is also required to be separated from
Sir, I agree with you, the biomedical waste.
municipal solid waste and is required to be handed over.
I was meaning in a different way. I was talking of residential level medical waste.
I got your point.
getting
I got
yeah.
your point. So just
And
let us
just
give opportunities
one
to.
more question. I'll just put it there and then everybody. Is that we all have rules on whenever a building gets constructed, we have fire safety rules, we have rules for all the different things for getting occupancy certificates. Is there a possibility where very stringent rules are put and that they need a yearly renewal, where solid waste management thing also at community level can be enforced?
Okay,
Thanks.
let me just quickly respond. Now the solid waste management rule is being revised. So the draft rule was notified by MOEFCC. We got the opportunity to offer our comments and suggestion, and we hope that the revised rule, along with a very strong mandate. So basically the BWG is now coming in a new avatar. If it survives at the way we have seen it in the draft, so it is going to be something like the EPR regime for plastics or other waste streams which are already notified and in operation, right? So a lot of your suggestions are kind of something that we also have been discussing and deliberating. So those have been submitted. Time for one last question. Please keep it short and please mention who you are asking it to.
Can I go?
Sir. Yeah, please, sir.
I think earlier also we spoke on this as far as possible. This is an ambiguity. I think he has clarified it. Now there are 4 basic constituents, fractions, including the household Medicare waste is a special thing. And it has to be monitored and it has to be linked to the biomedical waste licensee holder. That is very clear. Some of the cities are actually paying hundreds of rupees per kg for this. So it's all boiling down to this. Your original question of land filling of wet waste. Rules have clearly said only inert and procedures should go, but as long as these facilities are not existing, you have to allow this. That is why theoretically, SLF should not have any leachate collection system, right? But we have to provide. Now the new rules are suggesting that there should be a user fee mechanism for the landfill also. And if it is a kind of problematic waste, the fee should be higher. And if it is an inert kind of waste, probably it is free access. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Last question for the day. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, hello. My name is Kezia, and I have questions plus some food for thought. There are a lot of organizations who, when it comes to transport and buses, they're very clear that in Delhi, we need 10,000 buses, but we don't have clarity as in how much waste, since we generate X number of waste, how many waste pickers are required to handle that waste. That is kind of food for thought for any research organization who would like to take that work up. Also, as Swati ma'am mentioned, administrative structures, a lot of you have mentioned administrative structures are missing. But someone like me who might want to start working on wet waste, but there is a lack of structure that who am I supposed to approach? Who am I? There are a lot of grants and organizations. And the reason why I'm posing this to you and not a tech-based startup is because they will keep their secret recipe. They will not show you. But CSE or someone like a research organizations like yourself, they may put this up so that others like me can take up this work. So, can we also want to, at the end of it, I want to discuss decentralized plus centralized bylaws for tech-based especially, is something that can be explored, that should we have an SOP when it comes to decentralized waste and or centralized waste, especially when it comes to organic waste, because I'm thinking of biogas plants in particular, I'm saying. So these are few questions and possibly something that I would like any of you to take up.
Okay. Just for want of time, let me very, very quickly, super fast response. If you want to engage with ULBs and be a part of the waste ecosystem and you want us to help you, we are happy to give you space. You can intern with us, do research with us. But I'm not the best guy to suggest you like who should you approach if you want to engage with a ULB or a state administration that is dealing with these verticals. Number two, there is no such thing as decentralized bylaw. Decentralization is an approach. Your bylaw can say that I will treat all my collected waste in accordance to its merit. Like I will have separate facility for wet and dry waste. Now the facility can be centralized, the facilities can be decentralized. But definitely the law promotes decentralized. Like if I go by the narrative of SWM 2016 rules, it promotes this decentralized. That you have to first explore whether decentralized systems are possible. If not, then you go for a centralized system. So we honestly don't have any database of city-wise, whether centralized or decentralized, but we can safely say that probably centralized is kind of absolutely outnumbers decentralized I mean, cities. And there are some cities who are, despite being centralized, have some pockets where they have created decentralized facilities, right? I probably missed the last part of your question. Waste pickers. So in your question, I was not really clear about whether you're asking whether your question is related to informal waste pickers or informal. So informal waste pickers, it's very difficult to make an estimate, like how many waste pickers do I need to get my waste picked up? It is rather the other way around, that how many waste pickers do I have in my city who I need to integrate, right? And then integration has different understanding in different places. Many people feel that integration is like give them a job, 10 to 5 job or 9 to 5 job, give them some remuneration, fixed remuneration. If you go with the Pune model, which Dr. Ketke explained so nicely, they don't want fixed time-based job. Rather, they want to do it, let's say, the waste pickers, they do their job from 7 to 11 or max 12, and then they're done. They can do something else. So they enjoy that freedom, that liberty, right? So they don't want to be, but it depends on individual, and there is, we are learning more. We have to have guidelines, but the contribution of the informal sector is absolutely undeniable. And the revised law probably is going to take this agenda into consideration. So I have to pull the plug here now. So sorry, my apologies to you. Also, already 5 minutes past 2 o'clock. So the event should have been done, including lunch by now. I am in short of words to kind of thank the panelists, the keynote speakers, and colleagues who have joined us virtually. I would request my colleague Siddharth to deliver the vote of thanks, and then we can quickly go and grab our food. Thank you.
Okay. I don't want to be standing between you and lunch, so I'll keep it short. But good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be delivering this. I did not have a very active role today, but I'm honored to be doing this on behalf of Center for Science and Environment. Sincerest gratitude to Almitra Patel Madam, Mr. Mazumdar, JV Ravinder sir, and also to the panel that we have. I mean, interesting interventions, very different school of thoughts, and all of them were still very valid. Justice Goyal, Mr. Kevi Chusa, Mr. Shadap, Swati, thank you so much. Mr. Manuja, and definitely Ms. Ketki. I would again congratulate Mao, Atin, and the entire team. I'm not naming everyone, but all of us. And definitely the extended team at CSE. We have photographer Vikas ji hain bahar, Kishore ji hain who's supporting us with IT. There's Sukanya who's handling the social media. They're all working in the background. So thank you to all of them. And lastly, special thank you to all of you for spending this time with us. We know all of you are very busy. So that is my vote of thanks for today. Thank you so much. Lunch is outside. We can have it. Yeah.
Our team and panelists.
Photographer.
We